I do a cage match with you?
It does not state you cannot, so if you'd like to cage match the moderator, feel free.
Okay, alright, got it. Thank you. That's all I need to know.
I have a question.
No.
Yes.
Why did it seem like so much of those rules were about you?
Okay, next. All right.
I had an actual question though. So,
Okay, go ahead.
If we choose to cage match the moderator, and
Yes.
you're moderating the cage match, that means you can't actually like go against.
Technically,
what we're saying,
there's no
right?
moderation. There's no moderation in the cage match. The only moderation there is what's against TOS.
So your role as moderator is no longer in existence, and we can just like debate you like off the cuff, like just for the sake of doing it. Basically.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
real question is why did you steal Dylan Burns' ideas?
Dylan Burns.
Oh, no.
Yeah, wait, you stole it from Dylan Burns. That's
no,
crazy.
No, moderator is talking. Moderator is talking. I will mute people. Dylan Burns.
Can I cage match you now?
This idea from the American Octagon. We had it first. We came up with the idea. It was rudely stolen by the Hippy Dippy, and Dylan is now run off to Poland to escape what he owes me, because he now owes me money. He has used my idea.
Would you
and
accept the cage
owes
match
me
in exchange?
Now owes me money, monetary value, for I forget what they call it. What do they actually call that? Anyways,
Royalties.
yeah, he owes me royalties for my invention. Okay, he owes me royalties for my invention. I came up with it. He just stole it and just pretended it was his. Moving on. All right. So we're going to start off with Biggs. We're going to do introductions, and then after a round of introductions, we are going to go into opening statements for the first topic. So Biggs, go ahead with your introduction.
I'm Biggs8500. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I do panels like this infrequently, but I'm kind of getting back into it again. I took a little break not too long ago. I'm a center-right libertarian for the most part. I try to bring the good ideas from the left and the good ideas from the right, try to bring them together, and try to find solutions with the most pragmatic way possible. So thank you for having me, Zach. I really appreciate it, and it's nice to have you back in the community again.
Thank you. Pastel Dallas?
Yeah, hi, I'm Pastel. You can call me Abigail. I'm an actual, like, touching grass activist in my area. So unlike most of these other, like, people I'll say on the left, you'll see on Twitch Politics, I actually like go outside and actually talk to people and actually propose bills to my local municipal. Like actually do all this work that they like to virtue signal about. I am pretty good at foreign policy, it's what I want to get my master's in. Yeah, I do like actual aerial politics, I'm not an insane lefty. I am pretty liberal, like I would consider myself, like, philosophically or academically, like, pretty much a liberal libertarian. I believe very strongly in, like, civil liberties and that we should probably maximize them as much as possible. And yeah, that's basically it. I'll, like, answer any questions. I hope we have good discussions. It's whatever. We've made some good memes tonight.
Preacher?
Yep, Preacher570 here on Twitch. I'm a constitutional conservative. I stream politics, but I also try to do a variety stream with history, documentaries, and stuff like that. I just like a good conversation. I like to reach across the aisle, have conversations, and I know we'll never change each other's minds, but at least having an understanding is good. My only pet peeve is bad faith arguments, and that's about it.
Mad Lad, go ahead.
Yeah, I am madlad_n. You'll find me on Twitch. I too have engaged in local politics, doing database work for the Democratic Party in 2016, and a few other things in 2020. I think it's completely fine to call yourself a leftist and, you know, not be considered insane. I think that's like a ridiculous thing to say, but that's fine. I also co-host a show with Lilac Doll Below Me called You Might Like This. We do this on Monday nights. The way it works, it's 1 week where Lilac teaches me something, 1 week where I teach her something, and then we have an off week, like tonight, where we hop on a political stream and, you know, hang out and do this. So it's a pleasure to be here. If you want to see some of our work, we actually have this thing published on YouTube. It is our first episode where we talk about how sex work and sex trafficking are not actually necessarily connected, because the research that demonstrates a connection is faulty. And if you look at the video, you can kind of see that. It's not all inclusive. Lilac will explain that part later on, because she's very insistent on being specific here. But it just shows how like poorly managed studies and research items can be used to make bad policy. So yeah, if you want to hang out with me, it's madlad_n on Twitch, and then madladn on Twitter.
So whoever watches Mad Lad's show, the American Octagon is also every Monday night. So I highly encourage you watch our show live and then go watch their VOD. Highly encouraged. Woodsman Will, go ahead.
What's up, y'all? I'm Woodsman Will. I actually touch grass on stream a lot more than everybody else here. I don't really know what I believe in, but whatever it is, I'm going to own all of you. So that's all I got. I stream everywhere.
Oh, okay. Now, Mad Lads +1.
Hello. Hi, my name is Lilac Doll. I stream music over on Twitch. I play piano and I sing and I make music, and I just put out a new song on Spotify, which is cool. And yeah, we do what you might like this and the research. Only the research of which I reviewed. There might be more research out there that I did not see that does find a link between sex work and sex trafficking. But if it's there, they didn't include it in these papers. And I think that's about it.
Turk.
Yeah, so I'm Turk. I do science and tech on YouTube and Twitch. I am a classic conservative. Got some good libertarian and capitalist urges. So plenty of good stuff to talk about tonight. But y'all can find me over on YouTube at The Turk, and you can also find me here on Twitch. I'm going to be streaming a heck of a lot this weekend because I'm going to a LAN party. It's going to be great. I'm going to play games for like 24 hours. Yeah, it's going to be great. So hope y'all can swing by the channel sometime this weekend.
And now, last but not least, Twitch's least favorite abortion debater, Jason Society.
I knew that was coming. What's up, Sprout? Everybody, I am Jason Society. You can find me at Jason_Society on Twitch. I host a Sunday night, guess you could call it a panel called Stonercast, where I bring your favorite streamers on that like to smoke weed, and we talk about all things weed. Other than that, I do a politics and cannabis podcast stream where we talk mostly about the effects that our politics have on people who have been victims of the drug war, things like that. But we also do a lot of other fun stuff too, videos and such. So check it out, Jason_Society on Twitch, or Jason Society, all one word, on Twitter.
All right, now that introductions are done, that's the end of my jabs to everybody. I will now be a neutral party. So with this being said, we do have a special guest tonight. The special guest, he wants to make an announcement. All right. Ask my friends, okay? They all know the American Octagon is the best panel on Twitch. The Hippy Dippy, it's an awful show, okay? A very terrible show compared to the American Octagon. All right. So now that we've had that, I'm sure Dylan's watching somewhere, but he can't respond because he's in Poland. All right, introductions. The first topic we're going to go over, very ironically, is Dylan. So Twitch streamer Dylan Burns is planning on going to Poland and or Ukraine. Is this just a streamer that's trying to take advantage of the war, or is this a streamer actively trying to provide information? This will be the time for opening topics. You'll have about 1 to 2 minutes each to discuss your opening topics, and then the floor will be open between all panelists. So, Biggs, with your opening statement, go ahead.
I would like to believe that if Dylan is going to be going somewhere where there's a chance that, harm could come to him, I think he's probably taking it pretty seriously. If he's not, I think that's a big mistake. But hopefully he uses this as a learning experience and, maybe a platform launching off spot to kind of do, similar things to like what Tim Pool did, or some of these other, journalist types that kind of start off going out in the field and then kind of build their empires, things like that. Like maybe this can be what he's going for. As far as like, is he doing this for, clout or for just to take advantage of something? I don't think so. But, Dylan has done some kind of questionable things in the past, so that does kind of, send up some, red flags or whatever. But I would like to think if somebody's putting their life on the line, going to places like this, putting themselves in harm's way, that they're taking it serious and have the right motivations. And if not, then I think that's a big mistake on their end. And they probably shouldn't do that. So,
Pastel Dallas, your opening statement.
Yeah, I would say this is probably a stupid move all around if he's going for coverage. Like, the people who actually do go and do these coverages are, like, going with like bulletproof vests. They have like entire like companies behind them ensuring their safety. They have like actual unironic bodyguard teams, and there are smaller reporters. But like this is a Twitch streamer we're talking about. I would feel extremely uncomfortable with him going to like actually going to Ukraine. Poland, he'll probably be fine. But if he like actually enters an active war zone, I'm like, I don't know. That's like very stupid. I would not do that. I would heavily encourage everyone else to like not do that. I don't want someone to be put in a place where they could like be shot and killed. It seems really stupid. So I hope he is not going to enter Ukraine if that's like at all possible right now, and I hope he doesn't actually go to like, I hope he's not like doing this for coverage or unless he's staying in Poland and like trying to do some coverage. That's probably cool. But like, yeah, the actual people doing this actual coverage have like actual degrees and like tons of work behind them, and they're not just like random journalists who like happen to be in a war zone, even though that happens sometimes. A lot of these are like people who have been in like, Afghanistan and like stuff like that before. If he's just going to visit, then like obviously sure, whatever, that's fine. But yeah, like don't get yourself killed. That would be like really sad. That's all I gotta say.
Preacher, your opening statement.
Oh, apparently he is watching.
Yeah, it's either lots of balls or very stupid. I don't know. I haven't really talked to him or heard him really even talking about it. I haven't been paying attention, but I mean, yeah, the hippy dippy's done for entertainment purposes, and he makes that very clear. I'm hoping he's not doing this for entertainment purposes. If it's for entertainment, well, that's kind of nuts. But if he's doing it with the desire to actually put out like footage, I mean, man, like Pastel said, like these people are going in with Kevlar, and a lot of them have military guys around them for protection. I mean, I don't know what he has lined up for protection over there. Hopefully he doesn't go into Ukraine, because Russian soldiers, if they're capturing people that they feel are freedom fighters, that can be bad for him. So I don't know what his... I can't read his mind to know what his true intents are. I would think he's not foolish enough to just go for entertainment points. I would think he's going there to actually try and put out a story, maybe a view that we're not getting, and that could be awesome, and that could be great for him, and kudos to him, but man, dangerous. I listen, I'm pretty ballsy. I've been married and divorced, so I know what fear is, but I'm not going to enter that war zone type stuff. No way. So, I mean, kudos to him either way.
Mad Lad, your opening statement.
Yeah, so, like, I think we need to be very clear that there's, like, a difference between entering Poland and entering Ukraine, right? Like, we're talking about, like, anything involving the bulletproof vest and all that other stuff does not matter for shit if he's in Poland, because, like, Poland is probably just fine, right? And we actually had a discussion on this, like, last week, where basically probably no one's going to starve as a result of his trip there, and probably not going to be like taking up like accommodations that would be benefiting refugees. In terms of like why is he going, I have no idea. It could be like all the above, and who gives a shit, right? Like you can go somewhere and do work and also have fun while doing that work. Like it's not like it's a big deal if he gets like some sort of like, has like personal stake in it. Like who doesn't have a personal stake in doing things like this? The only thing that like gives me pause at all would be I guess there's like the tricky part with like interviewing actual refugees, which can be like kind of a problem, right? But at the end of the day, we'll never know one way or the other like how well or poorly it went, because like it's all going to be done like it's all going to be filmed and then cut and then put on YouTube. So like we won't actually know if there's any bad interviews or any like actual harms like made anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like all we'll ever be able to do is to speculate, and all I can do is just hope that his trip goes particularly well and everything turns out fine.
Woodsman Will, your opening statement.
Look, all I'm hearing is salt. That's it. Okay, if you had the money to go and get your content and boost your channel, you'd fucking do it too. Or you wouldn't because you're scared of getting shot. But I mean, I thought lefties and righties supported independent journalism. And I mean, why is it our business what he goes over there and do? I mean, every media company records, cuts, and doesn't do a lot of live interviews over there. So
I actually agree with Woodsman
also,
Will
if he wants
on
to
this,
go to Ukraine,
absolutely.
I
think he should be
people
able
that
to
went to
go and
Afghanistan
do whatever the
that
fuck
had
he
no
wants.
business going there. So I don't know.
Valid.
Lilac Doll, your opening statement.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't ever want any harm to come to anybody for something that's questionable at worst and best. I personally just don't understand exactly what his goal and intention is. I don't know what he's trying to do and if this is the best way to accomplish it, because I was thinking, if in terms of getting a story that nobody else has heard, it seems like a really useful thing that somebody could do for $20,000 would be to pair up with somebody who was in Ukraine and was a Twitch streamer, and they are, from the region, they have that familiarity and that tie to it, and if he could, like, amplify them, that's something he could do without going over there. Or he could, make donations. I get the sense that we can never know anyone's internal motivations because, we're not inside their heads, but from the outside, it just seems like it has the potential that he's turning somebody else's misfortune into maybe a fun European vacation. And it's not that I think that's what he is doing, it's just I can't rule that out because I don't know his motivations, and it just rubs me as like something that's like questionable, but honestly, it's like very, very far down on my list of concerns for things that are going on in the world right now.
Turk, your opening statement.
Yeah, so just for some transparency, I am loaning Dylan some PC hardware so that he can go and do and produce content over there. With that said, though, Dylan is a professional streamer partner here on Twitch. He does this for kind of a job, and if he's willing to make the risk to go to certain parts of the world that others are not, I feel he has the right to reap the benefits or the risks that go with that. So I don't agree with a lot of the stuff Dylan says, but I am willing to help him and support him in his activities. We are all here on twitch.tv, and we all are trying to find clout in some way or another. I hope he's a little more virtuous and actually accomplishes some of the things he's told me in some DMs. And I think being probably one of the biggest faces in the international politics here on Twitch, this is going to help put a lot more humanity behind a lot of the stuff we hear from CNN and all these other outlets that have these armed guards out there. They're not really out on the field doing reporting. They're probably getting reports and putting on a flak jacket that probably isn't even going to help them from getting shot because it's a flak jacket. Anyways, I support him. I hope he does a good job. I hope my computer makes it back. And I am trying Dylan, if you're watching, I am still waiting for UPS to call me back. So that's it.
All right, and Jason's Society, your opening statement.
Great. So I don't see any issue with it. I think he's been doing the stuff on Twitch for a while. He touts a foreign policy background, so it seems like this would be a natural evolution in like his building out his channel. I think to see it any other way and to not see this as an opportunity for him to grow, whether you want to say that's clout or not, it doesn't really matter. I mean, this is what he does for a living. This is like how he's making his money, and I guarantee nobody was telling Hunter S. Thompson not to go out and do his crazy immersive journalism, and he did quite well for himself and seemed to please a lot of people with that. So by and large, I have no issue with this. I do hope he's safe. I don't think that there's going to be some significant drain on search and rescue efforts if he goes out and does this. I don't foresee him creating some kind of national incident. If anything, I think he's going to do just fine. I think he'll come back, hopefully have some good reporting and have some insights to offer, and be able to share his experiences with people. All around, I think that's a net positive for the community.
All right, the floor is now open for discussion.
I had a question for Pastel. So in your opening, you mentioned something about you would not like for people to go into active areas where there's high chance of getting shot at or all these other types of violence. How do you feel about people that go and do local reporting in cities like Chicago, New York, all the BLM riots? There was a lot of violence that happened in some of those instances. Would you not want that type of on the ground field reporting to occur? Because plenty of people got injured and plenty of people got put into harm's way in order to get that information out.
To me, there's a threshold of obvious okay, what is dangerous and what isn't. I think entering an active war zone is probably passes the threshold of what I would consider too dangerous for a normal Twitch streamer, compared to going to a BLM protest that then turned into a riot. Obviously, heading straight to a riot to
how about going broadcast? Into Chaz or Chop? Is that not considered a high danger area.
Well, yeah, going in the chats, I believe it was reported that they were armed and like actually like being violent to people. Yeah,
Yeah, people
like,
were getting shot there. Yes.
Yeah, probably like stupid, but like if you're an actual like a journalist with like actual proper equipment, it's fine. But like I don't know if Dylan actually has like any like safety equipment, so like that's why I just don't want to see like a Twitch streamer get shot and killed. So if he has like proper like safety equipment and it has like all the proper procedures, then it's good.
So what if I send him? What if
Ukraine or Poland?
what if I send him
Ukraine.
some level 3 plates and a helmet and a gas mask?
You
Is
gotta be
that
level
cool?
4 apparently.
Oh yeah, I got 4A.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I've
get
got it
right.
behind me.
I mean-
What? Yeah, if you hit him up, I mean, I don't know how I'd get it to him. He'd have to pay for shipping, but I better get it back. Shit's expensive.
Well, hell, I'll just send an armored Humvee.
He's probably not going to Ukraine, right? Like he's going to Poland, so like
I mean-
we should probably like center our conversation around that, and then like if he goes to Ukraine, we can have a different conversation. Like he's in Poland, he's not getting shot at.
Yeah, going to Poland's totally fine.
I think
Yeah,
he should
like-
go to Ukraine.
I mean, okay.
I think if he gets,
Yeah,
I think if he can get into Poland,
And here's the thing: this is really important. This is like really, really important. Like, if he wants to go to Ukraine and like risk his life and use his money to do it, it's his right. Like, we have no privilege over him to say you can't do this. Just like no one has any right for to question like others' like concerns regarding the trip, right? Like in the same sense that like Dylan has the right to like pursue this, everyone else also has the right to like question and wonder like, okay, how would I do this? What is safe? What is not safe? In terms of Poland, though, there's nothing wrong with it. He can go to Poland.
We
he can-
all-
What are your
Okay.
what are your motivations behind like being focused on why he's going or whatever? Like it just seems.
Let's be honest with ourselves. We all know why he's going to Poland. Have you guys not seen all the women coming to Poland?
Yo,
I mean,
I'm-
he
let's-
I mean,
all right, we don't have to
obviously,
go- we don't have to go down that
obviously, right? He's just going there,
route.
you know.
No. We don't need to do that. We don't need to
is he
go
going to
down
get a
that
mail order
I
bride?
was kidding. Obviously, I'm
Relax.
I know, but like it's not.
Wait,
so
wait.
it's like a funny joke,
So
right? But like also there's.
moderator speaking. Thank you. I couldn't hear anyone. And so I do know that Biggs was talking. Biggs made a point. There's a lot of reaction to it, but I think Mad Lab was next. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Mad Lab.
So like I mean I know it's like a joke and I get it, but like it's also like a not so funny joke because there's actually probably refugees who are using like sex appeal and etc. to like get resources. I don't think that's like fair to like make that claim. And there's also refugees who've been like actually raped by Russian forces, etc.
Oh, I'm
etc.
sure,
So like
yes, I know.
the sex appeal thing, like I get the joke, but like I don't know. It's just not like.
I know.
funny considering
I
what's
was
going on.
I was even saying in my chat that I was like, I probably shouldn't say this joke because I know it's in bad taste. But I mean, come on,
I don't
you've
know.
seen everybody
Okay,
on here. I
anyway.
mean, you have to admit you've seen some of the like Instagram, like I mean, it's
Listen,
outta
mail
hand.
order brides are always a good time to joke.
Oh, okay. So anyway,
Obviously-
regarding his trip to Poland, though, like in all actuality, like I don't see any reason that, like I don't see any downsides, right? Like when I'm like looking into it. So to respond to Woodsman Will's like question about like why I'm questioning it, generally speaking, I thought it was like an interesting topic. So what happened for me, what drew my attention was like Wednesday morning, there was a chat in a Discord server about it. And I was 50-50. I was like, well, I could see why this is like could be considered shitty, but I could also see why there's like a lot of benefit. When I first saw Dylan's Twitter post, my immediate response was actually to volunteer a refugee that I knew. My brother has a Ukrainian ex-girlfriend who he helped find an apartment, right? So I was gonna ask like, hey, do you want to be interviewed, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that process is still going on. But my immediate response was like, well, I should, find people that Dylan could use, like to talk to or whatever, right? But like, it's also I think fair game to like ask questions about the trip and just like think about logistics and like think about the efficacy and all that other stuff. It makes conversation. We're literally having a conversation about it right now. Like it's content.
Like if he's
Which
going
is
to
why
like
he's going.
Poland and he's got like an interpreter, I think it would be really awesome if he like had conversations with like actual Ukraine people who have escaped and really get like their point of view on everything, because so far we're getting the press point of view on it. If he can actually like get on the ground and like get the actual point of view from the Ukrainian people, I think that would be great. And kudos to him if he could do that. I would love to see that. I would love to watch that content. I think he has every right, even if he wanted to go into the heart of the battle, like in the middle of Ukraine. He has that right. I mean,
does.
obviously, there's consequences for our actions, and I would obviously feel bad. I would listen. Dylan and I don't agree on anything, and but I still would never want to see anything bad to happen to him. I mean, politics aside, he's still a human being, and I still respect the guy. So, like, if he's going over there, I'll watch his stuff. Hopefully, he does some good stuff.
And to be clear, like, you know, like the media sources that are coming out of there aren't like, you know, unified. It's not like every media outlet is like in like a secret conspiracy to report the exact same shit. Like every source, you have the left source that you have that is like, you know, reporting is going to have a different spin and a different take on it. And if you look at all the different journalists that are out there reporting, you can get a more cohesive picture. So Dylan Burns does contribute to that for sure, because he's like, you know, from the lens of Twitch streamer with like, you know, very little integration into the journalism community anyway, so it'll be a completely different lens for sure.
Well,
I mean, the lenses you're getting are just left and right anyways out there. You have RT, and then you have, you know, Fox, CNN, everybody else. You know, there's no real middle ground, and I think he could probably contribute. I know he's like a raging lefty, or liberal, whatever you want to call him, but I'd rather have his point of view on it than half of the mainstream media outlets that exist.
And yeah,
I think it's
my
also,
understanding.
like, worthwhile to keep in mind that, like, whenever we're talking about journalists, a lot of times we're just talking about normal people who went to school for like 4 years, got a bachelor's, and maybe, like, we don't know their intentions. We also don't know that they're necessarily getting a lot of really great quality training. I imagine there's probably been a lot of cases throughout history of journalists being sent places that they weren't necessarily prepared to be, but you got to make it work because that's what's feeding you.
And that's the big difference here. He's actively going there. He's not being sent by his boss or another representative. He's going to a place where he knows where what type of content he's trying to do, and he has his, you know, project plan in front of him. He's not ill prepared to go do this, and he's been reporting this kind of stuff for, you know, months. So I would not consider him to be, you know, entry-level journalist. This is probably pretty decent quality freelance journalism. He could sell it to somebody if he wanted to.
Yeah, and my understanding too is that he is trying to do something that's akin to like soft white underbelly, where it's like he's actually sitting down with people and having like a half an hour interview with them to really understand their perspective, not just like going there and trying to do like some kind of shock journalism or something like that. And, you know, people were talking about that earlier, like seeing the human side of this conflict. And I think that's what he's getting to the heart of. I think that's what his aim is there. And if that's his aim, I mean, I don't think we see that, because it's like that, I can't remember what fucking warlord it was, but it was somebody that said, you know, you kill one person, it's a tragedy. You kill several, it's just numbers. It's just a statistic. So I think putting a face to some of these people that have gone through the hardship and giving them that voice, I think is really important. And if that's what he's doing there, that's exactly what needs to happen, because that's the one thing that is missing sorely.
I think also, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but being a conservative, I watched a lot of the Brant for Liberty, WYSIWYG, Oreo, those guys. They were doing the IRL streams following the People's Convoy with the trucks. Not much of a difference. He's just doing IRL, just in a different area and a little bit more extreme situation, obviously, but really, it's IRL. It's what Twitchers do. I mean, I would love to be out and out in society doing IRL streams. He's just going a little extreme with it, maybe going all the way over to Poland and everything. But hey, kudos to him again. If he can afford the trip, and he, you know what, I think especially if he's going to do it live and he has a translator, or he can translate himself, whichever, and you're getting the actual live responses of people, not a media edited response, but the live response. Oh no,
they're filming in advance. They might have some live content, but they weren't sure.
Yeah, I didn't know how the situation is.
So what if it goes really poorly, and if it's a train wreck? Like, does that change anything?
I think it'll hurt Dylan more than it freaking anybody.
Probably hurt Dylan.
It probably will, but I mean, I would look at it and say, you know what? Listen, dude tried something that there's like 8.5 million streamers on Twitch, and he's the only one that gave it a shot. So you know what? I'll give him that credit, even if it does crash and burn. At least he tried.
Same.
I mean, I think like it would be a Twitch like response more than like a us response. Like I wouldn't. Like my opinion still says, like, you know, if you have the right and the ability to go somewhere to do a thing, then who am I to stop you? I'm just gonna ask questions, right? If it goes bad and it looks poorly for like Twitch streamer does something really fucked up in Poland, right?
Well, yeah.
Like maybe Twitch will have like a response that is going to be like consequential, but like I don't know.
I mean, I don't know what Twitch could do. I mean, like, could they ban all of their partnered streamers from traveling between countries that are in war?
They'll come out with new terms of service.
Yeah, they'll change the terms of service. They'll be like, you cannot cover this.
You
Well, I
can
think-
do
that's why there weren't
on a
live streams
war
from like,
zone.
and that's why there weren't like live streams from like BLM protests. A lot of it is because like if there was like a fist fight that happened on stream or something violent happened, that would like ban your channel.
Yeah, to get your flag
And going to
taken
the
down.
chat zone would be like kind of insane for people who aren't like if someone's like trying to be like an amateur investigative journalist and they go to Chaz, I feel like that would have been like an enormous mistake.
Yeah,
And
like
I don't
so
think
you
it's,
can-
like, life-threatening guaranteedly, but I wouldn't have gone.
He can upload all that content. He just can't, like, even like with YouTube, you can upload people getting blown up by bombs. You just can't do it live.
I mean, like, I can't actually imagine a scenario where like Dylan Burns' trip turns into like some sort of like very crazy train wreck of this magnitude, though. Like, it would be just kind of.
I think he's
I don't
smarter
know.
than that. I think we're
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I
treating
don't-
him
I
with
don't-
kid
I mean, like-
gloves.
No,
I
I
don't
mean, like,
see him
let's
going
like
out
take our
creating
lowest.
some international affair.
Let's like find our like lowest common denominator. Like just like the like let's say politically provoked Brittany decides to go to Poland to investigate, right? Not to call her out, but
She's
I'm
a
gonna call
fucking
her, like, whatever
idiot,
she's
but
doing.
that's her own.
Like,
That's
yeah,
her
I
own
know, like,
She
prerogative.
just
Could
hung out
she-
with the Polish gropers. What are you talking about, dude?
Like,
That's
could
what she
Could
did.
she like blow it in such a way
separated.
that would be like so bad that like there'd be an issue? And I can't imagine anything. Like, honestly, like even like I don't know, like who's like the worst. Sorry.
I mean, we could do what ifs. We could do like what if scenarios all day, but like we
Right.
know who's
Like-
going. We know he's pretty intelligent. You know that this means a lot to him to spend his own money to go over there. I doubt he. I like
Yeah.
all of the above.
And
I don't think he's going to
Frankly
do any of
speaking,
that.
like
dumb
Dylan's
shit.
coverage of Ukraine has probably been like actually some of the best on Twitch politics, right?
Oh, you're missing
He's
Colonel
actually-
Dan's then.
I am.
Yeah,
I have
Colonel
no idea
Dan's
who that
pretty
is.
good.
If you want to send me a link, I'll happily check it out. But like,
Yeah.
honestly, like he actually made this like a center like focal point of his like streaming. It feels like, so like this kind of fits the profile. I just
I do have breaking news. I hate to step in as a moderator, but Mr. Geek has confirmed that Dylan is going to Poland to challenge refugees to a boxing match. So
there
I do
you
have
go.
confirmation of that.
That'll be fun. That will be fun.
Now, see, that's some
I actually
that's
still
some
wanna
good,
see-
solid exploitation right there. I approve this exploitation. Let's
I
go.
actually want to see Dylan Burns have a boxing match with Imra Haas like on the Polish-Ukrainian border.
That would be so sick.
Yes.
That'd be good content
Like,
right there.
No,
like, he can't run away though this time. Like Imra Haas would have to because like Putin would be like behind his ears, like you're the big boy, you can do this. You're the big boy, go get him.
It's
You
like
know?
that scene in Troy.
You're 6 foot tall.
This is out of Rocky,
Dylan
guys.
versus
Come on.
Haas for the whole thing. The armies are gonna
Like,
send
to,
the armies
to
fighting.
decide who owns Donbass.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
He needs a 40-inch
Well, I think you
vert
could
just
do-
to be
you
able
do
to clip
Steven
Dylan's
Seagal.
chin, though. Like.
All right, so sorry, I brought us off track, but back to the original topic. Dylan also mentioned going to Ukraine. I hear a lot about talking to Poland. He said if there's a safe way to get into Ukraine, that he would go to Ukraine. And so that's where this kind of
Can I-
topic is going to
everybody-
go from here.
Or the roads
Can
into
Can I ask
Ukraine are
everybody a
probably
quick
pretty
question before we
open.
switch? Does anybody actually have a problem with Dylan Burns going to Poland? Like, raise your hand, like, really high. Like, do you really hate the idea? Cool, we're unanimous. Ukraine! Who has a problem with him going to Ukraine? Raise your hand. Be proud.
I'm
you think
curious.
it's a terrible idea.
Like, I
Okay.
imagine if like 1,000 people, like if everyone decided to go to Ukraine, would it hinder like the Ukrainian military's ability to actually effectively conduct a defensive war?
No.
That would be my concern.
No.
It's my
It's-
fault.
okay,
And it's
if he
one
goes to the
person
front
going
lines-
into probably Lviv because he's like, from my understanding, he's not going to go into like where there's direct conflict. He'd probably be in Lviv if he went anywhere. So that's what Western Ukraine, like. So
Yeah, I
but,
believe he
whatever,
specifically
you know?
said Western Ukraine too in the tweet that we're all talking about.
So,
Like I feel like Dylan is okay, and I'm not saying this to insult him, but he's like not the macho man. So I don't think he's gonna go in there like I'm balls to the walls on my own. I think like if he is gonna go into Ukraine, he's got his ducks in a row going in there. He knows what he's doing. He knows where he's going. He knows who he has to be around, and he's going to have the proper environment. I don't think
you can
Dylan
have
Burns.
all your ducks in a row. And
Oh
still,
yeah, shit
like,
can still
not in
happen
Ukraine.
for sure.
Yeah, okay.
But
Like,
I mean,
my-
listen,
okay, so-
I live in Northeast PA in the woods. I can step outside and have some hunter accidentally shoot me.
Let's, right. Well, let's talk, so let's actually like talk about like what the actual problem with going to Ukraine is, right? Like the entire country is considered a war zone.
That it
Russian
is.
anything
I heard there's something
anywhere
going on over there.
Yeah, right. So the point is, if you step foot in Ukraine, you can get hit by Russian armaments. That's it. That's like the
Right, and like I was saying before,
now, he has
like
the right to go. So he has the right to go. But the question is, should he go? And I would say no, he shouldn't.
And like that's what I was saying
100%.
before, like with the Russian troops, if they're finding people who like they think are foreign interference or foreign fighters, they're not being friendly with them. So that would be
they're not being friendly with civilians either. Like,
right.
So what happened in, I don't know if you guys like actually looked at the pictures or not. What happened in Russia?
Yeah.
Well, they're handing out AKs, right? The government. I think he'll be all right.
Right, and that's
So
I should have had him pay me an AK. And
Yeah,
that's
that's what I'm
the
thinking
problem.
about.
Give me 1
too.
second. I think Biggs had the biggest issue with Dylan going to Ukraine, so I'm going to give Biggs the floor for a second, and then I'll let you guys respond to that.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, Dylan can do whatever he wants to do. He's his own person. I just personally think it's a really bad idea to try to go to Ukraine. There's like Mad Laden said, there's just you're opening yourself up to so many other things that are possible to happen. You never know what the people you might be with, what can happen, especially in a war zone. I just think it's just a bad idea. Honestly, like as far as like safety wise, obviously he's going to be safer in Poland, but even then, I'm still a little leery. But I personally wouldn't put myself at risk. But again, I'm much older. I have a family, all that stuff. Dylan has that freedom to go and do this now. He has the money, obviously, and all that stuff. So I just think, for me personally, I think Ukraine going there would be a little bit too far, at least from my perspective. But again, he's his own person. He can do what he wants. He's a fucking adult.
I mean, I have a family, and I would still go to Poland. Like, whatever. It's not that fucking big of a deal. Jesus. Like, it's
you
fine.
know, the
Well,
more
if
I'm
you go to
thinking about this,
If you go to state.gov, actually, it says do not travel
I have
to
a family, and
Poland
I would
because
still
of
go to
COVID.
Poland.
So
Whatever. It's not that. There you go.
but,
I
you know,
don't
the
know
more
if
I'm
we still
thinking
cared
about
about
this, the more
COVID
I'm
or not,
thinking
but
about this, the
if you
more
go to
I'm thinking about this, the
state.gov,
more I
actually, it says
support
do
him
not
actually
travel
going
to
into
Poland
Ukraine
because
if
of
he chooses
COVID.
to.
So
As long as he does it as
I
safely as
don't know if we
possible.
still cared about COVID or not,
You know,
but
sometimes the
if you go
truth
to
is not safe to
state.gov,
get.
actually, it says do not travel to
Listen,
Poland
if he's
because
got
of
the
COVID.
balls to get in there, as long as he doesn't
What
get
truth
put
is
in
it worth
his
I don't know
going,
if we still
like-
cared about COVID or not.
Not
Hey,
all of
sometimes
Ukraine
the
is
truth
under an
is
active war zone, guys. There's
Right.
plenty of
He's got
smaller
the balls
towns
to
and
get in
villages
there.
that he could probably do the exact same thing he's wanting to do in Poland, but in Ukraine is under an active
Right.
war
So like
zone.
he has like a there's like a 99% chance he goes to Ukraine and he's completely fine.
Yeah,
That's not
and,
even the
and
point.
given how some of the recent battle trends are going, Russian forces are pulling further and back to their own stronghold areas. So it's
Yeah,
like
but they're also bombing more parts of Ukraine, are they not?
Yeah,
I'm
more
not
than
the
troops are
foreign
withdrawing, but they're
policy
also
expert.
bombing,
That's why Dylan is probably well aware of movement patterns and knows who he can talk to at a local level to find out this information. It's not like Ukraine is completely walled off to everybody.
Well, the thing is,
You know,
too,
you can
anybody
get
that's
in
ever been
there.
overseas knows that a lot of those media dudes just ride together with the same security. Like,
Well,
it
that's
wouldn't
the
be
thing,
it wouldn't
though.
be
I don't
far
know if he's-
fetched.
I don't know if he's going to have like a press pass on him. I don't know if he's got that kind of a passport or any of that stuff. So if he's got those kind of creds, that'd be great. But I
think
don't
he should
he
go
will.
straight to the war zone and get it on film.
I
That's what
think, you know what? Anytime you're going to
Yes,
go
yes,
into
because he's a Twitch streamer. That's what
well,
we
you know
do.
what? I give
it's
the
what
guy
we
credit.
do.
And anytime you're going to go into such a situation, there's some calculated risk involved. I'm sure he's done his like I said, and that's what I was saying. I wasn't trying to be down on him when I said he's not a macho man. Is that he's not someone that's just going to run in there, balls to the walls, all guts and glory. He's going to probably do some methodical planning, which obviously plans are good until you get punched in the face. But I'm sure he's going to have.
That Dylan Burns is going to charge into battle.
He's
Like,
no Leroy Jenkins.
absolutely not.
He is not a Leroy Jenkins.
Right, he's not going to do that. Like we all know that Dylan Burns is going to.
no, I mean,
camera
you never know. You never know who you're dealing with until they get put in that situation.
That's true,
I've
that's
seen
true.
people.
Yeah.
I've seen people that look like like Macaulay Culkin do shit like that in Afghanistan. So like, I don't know.
As long as he avoids Chernobyl, we should
he's
be all
not
right.
actually a soldier, though, right? Like he's
I mean,
just going there to document
he
what's happening.
is with Mr. Geek, who's probably a member of the French Foreign Legion. So I'm pretty sure
No,
he's
they know
got
how
all
to
he needs.
surrender.
I'm gonna go make another drink. I'll be right back.
But no,
Have any of y'all seen that movie? It's a Ricky Gervais movie. What's it called? It's got him and
All right, now that we're on the topics of movies, I think now, what?
I want to tell you about this movie because I think it's funny. Like,
Were you
so-
actually going somewhere with that? With the
yeah,
actual topic?
So
Are
there's
you
a
sure?
yes.
You get muted if you're not.
if you don't want to have my funny little anecdote to take away from all this seriousness, Zach, okay, this is a very like serious panel. I'm trying to bring the comic relief, as they say, okay, because you're not doing a very good job about it. The funniest thing you've had so far is your mustache you got on your face, okay?
I'm the moderator.
The way,
Oh my goodness.
The way he pronounces chamomile is actually the funniest thing that's happened to me.
All right, so with all that being said, I'm going to bring us to closing statements where Biggs can bring up his comedic relief if he chooses to. And we are going to go backwards from where we went. But before we do closing statements, I got another confirmation from Mr. Geek. He's handing me information in real time. He said, we're going to live stream the front lines. We'll have a dono goal where if we reach $10, we'll charge the Russians by ourselves, Leroy Jenkins style. Okay? All right, so...
Damn, son, where'd you find
How much of a
this?
dono goal can we set for Dylan Burns to actually go to Ukraine? Is that like a thing?
Yo, I'll send him armor, yo.
So,
He's just got to get it back to
Jason,
me.
So, Jason, Society, your closing statements, please.
Yeah, sure. Like, I mean, I think there's been a pretty wide consensus that, you know, if he wants to go into Poland, have at it. I think there's some people have some concerns about Ukraine, but I don't think that that's that much of an issue. Like, if he's going in, probably going to end up going in with some kind of security or whatever. I don't think they're going to just let him, like, blindly walk across the border and, hey, here you go, man, have at it, you know. So I'm sure he's going to have some security, or, you know, he's going to be briefed on the ground about what's going on should he choose to go into Ukraine. And I hope he's able to, and I hope he's able to get some good reporting and, you know, really put a human face to what we're seeing, you know, and bring some light to that, the human tragedy of the whole situation. So good on him. I hope he does it. I hope it goes well, and I wish him the best of luck.
Kirk, your closing statements.
Yeah, so not much has changed from my intro. I'd got to say, you know, my computer is going with him, so I wish him the best so that I can get my assets back, and I hope he's able to make some really cool content, because putting out a lot of risk and taking upon that risk deserves a lot of reward out of it, even if he is clout chasing or if he's actually trying to do some real good in the world, be it here on Twitch or YouTube, whatever. He gets to reap all the benefits of what he's sowed. So if he wants to go to Ukraine, just don't damage my laptop, man.
Lilac Doll, your closing statements?
Yeah, I mean, I hope we get good journalism out of this. I think that is it's a possibility, and I think that if we get horrible, awful journalism out of this, then, you know, like, we appropriately judge it, and we don't judge it just based on, hey, it's cool that a Twitch dude went to Ukraine or Poland. But yeah, whatever he does, at the end of the day, I hope he stays safe and that nobody is harmed, him or anyone else, for whatever this may be. But yeah, I mean, I think so far I haven't heard any reason why he shouldn't be allowed to go, and that's, you know, that's his prerogative.
Woodsman Will.
I think he's going to do excellent, okay? And everybody that doesn't think he's going to do excellent is just sour and salty. There's no such thing as clout chasing on Twitch. Literally, it's your job to get clout. So, you know, I don't get it.
Clout farming.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Sorry,
On some level, it is about, like, getting clout, and that's fine. But I think it's, like, perfectly valid to be able to ask questions about, like, what other people do and still get content out of it. Like, if he's going to Poland to get content, and that's fine, but I can't fucking ask questions about, like, the itinerary of his fucking trip, then you guys are fucked in the head. That's all I have to say. Like, that's the stupidest fucking thing. And I'm going to go, you know what? Fuck it.
Yo, are you attacking me because I have PTSD, dude? Wow. Wow.
Like
you don't support the troops? Wow.
Well, it's closing
over the last
statements.
few days. Yeah, it's closing statements. So, all right. So, like, if they're going to call me a concerned troll, I'm going to call all those motherfuckers react trolls. And I'm going to react troll to their fucking react trolling. I'm going to watch all that shit, pause, and then fucking talk shit about all the dumb shit they said while, like, looking at my goddamn question. That's way too much work, though, actually. I don't give a fuck enough. I'm sure he'll be fine. I just hope that he does the best that he can, and I hope he brings back something that was worthwhile. And I'm glad that he got all this free advertising as we debated the efficacy of his trip, even though we all fucking agree that he can go to fucking Poland and do exactly what he's going to do anyway. There's no way he's stepping foot in Ukraine.
Preacher, your closing statements.
Yeah, so Dylan has absolutely no right leaving it. No, I'm joking. You know what? If he was a streamer like me that has under 1,000 followers and only maybe 20 people watching at a time, I'd say, you know what, this dude's doing this just because he wants to boost the stream. Obviously, he's got a couple, 2 or 3 followers, and he gets a couple, 2 or 3 viewers on the stream. I don't think he needs this to do this for an audience. I think he actually has his heart in the right place. He has every right to do it. I'm looking forward to it. I also believe watching him do certain streams, he knows what questions to ask. He knows how to present it. So I do believe he can do professional journalism, and he may even be able to put some of those professional journalists to shame with what he can do. And I would love to see someone come from Twitch TV and put to shame all these schmucks that are running around with their press passes that think they're somebody special and really are not. So yeah, good for him. I hope he does great, and I do hope Turk's laptop gets back to him safely.
All right, Pastel Dallas.
Yeah, I am going to echo what basically everyone else has said. He has every right to go to Poland, every right to go to Ukraine. I would just be really upset if he went and died because, 1, I'm from Maryland, he's from Maryland, we gotta stick together. 2, I think he's one of the only other good foreign policy people on Twitch, which is something I'm really interested in, foreign policy, so I kind of look up to him. It'd be a little upsetting if he died. So I just hope if he does go, he's careful and safe about it. And doesn't document troop movements, because that would be really stupid and probably hurt the Ukrainians. But go ahead and document all Russian troop movements if you somehow come across it and don't die. And then make sure you give it to a local Ukrainian general or whatever. That's all I gotta say.
Yo, I'm in Maryland too.
All right, the closing statements. Biggs.
I just can't believe you just said it'd be a little bit disappointing. That just got to me a little bit, but yeah, I think like I said earlier, Dylan can do what he wants to do. He's an adult. I wish him all the best of luck. I hope he comes back with some great content. I hope this can boost his stream. Maybe he can start doing more, in studio type stuff, things like that. But it just you have to be, mindful, and I think he is a mindful person. But the show I was talking about was a Special Correspondence. It's a hilarious movie. It's about 2 guys who are supposed to be going to take notes on this, or to do a show on the war. And they end up just faking it, but then they end up getting kidnapped or something. Anyways, it's a really funny movie, but that's what made me think of, because it's Mr. Geek and Dylan, and it kind of, I don't know. Anyways, watch the movie.
Watch the movie.
Holy shit!
That's
CCP's
what we get
here. Oh god.
Oh shit.
What have we done to have earned the presence of?
Oh shit.
Such an illustrious.
Is he there?
He's a
His
lot.
computer probably crashed.
Is this?
He,
Nope, his video's not
he
working.
came to yell at me.
Is-
He came to yell at me.
He's acting frozen now.
He's not looking frozen though. He looks
you have something
alive.
to say, CTV?
He's just establishing the alpha.
I mean, nah, I can.
See, Turk knows, right?
That means I got shit to do.
Wait, so how does this establish the alpha? This is confusing.
Because you were doubting his presence and you were getting worried about it. Just chill, man. Jesus.
Who would win in a fight, the Turk Force or the Wolf Pack?
The only guns I need in the Ukraine.
I'm waiting for a serious question.
I mean, we were just talking about Dylan going to Poland.
Oh, I see. I didn't know he was planning on doing that, but obviously that's what he's doing.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. So, I don't know. I don't even know, why he's going, if I'm being honest. I mean, other than, there's some shit going down that maybe we're going to cover the news, so maybe talk to some refugees.
Mail order bride.
He's gonna win the war for us.
Yeah, he's going to win the
So-
war, CTV.
I guess I'm sorry to the liberals. I guess this just became a 5v4 with CTV in here for this next topic. So the next topic will be so the Disney, as a California-based company, is trying to actively prevent Florida from being able to carry out the duly elected officials that voted this law into place in Florida. It's called it's framed as the Don't Say Gay bill, and it's passed in Florida, and Disney is actively trying to prevent it. We're gonna go ahead and do opening statements, and fair enough, we'll start with CTV.
Well, I think that Sheriff Grady Judd did a good job the other day of bringing down, I think it was, fucking 8 pedophiles that was running around. I think it was like 3 or 4 of them was actually employed by fucking Disney, right? So I feel like that the language regarding sexuality and the youth is being very vehemently fucking heard across the nation as parents speak out against their kids being taught sexuality and what that means ahead of them actually getting to a point in their life where they mature for it, and then the parents can have the conversations themselves. There's some things that I feel like are important for the youth to know. Like, one, how to properly put on a prophylactic, right? It's probably a pretty necessary skill set. But they don't need to be trying to understand what, frankly, I see as an adult idea, which is transgenderism or anything to do with sexuality, right? Those things are, expressed by adults to other adults. And there's no conversation that starts in there where the kids need to be trying to figure this out. As far as I'm concerned, the kids need to be learning reading, writing, and arithmetic, and history, structures of government, and why they should actually give a fuck about the difference between the state and the federal level. So I think Disney is going to end up just spinning its wheels as Florida continues its march towards removing sexuality from the schools.
Jason, your opening statement.
Yeah, I think it's really a solution without a problem. I read some of the bill, and it only goes up to 3rd grade in terms of what they're saying that they can't talk about, and then after that, it's age appropriate. The thing is the current law in Florida already says that it's not being sex ed isn't being taught to people who are under 5th grade. I live in Arizona. We don't even fucking teach that until 5th grade, so it's never been an issue to me. I think that the bill is like nefarious in the sense that the aim is more to alienate the LGBTQIA community and has really little to do with protecting children, being that these safeguards are already currently in place and there was no necessity to push this bill forward.
Turk, your opening statement.
Yeah, so I'm less worried about the bill itself because it was brought up through the representative government of Florida. It passed both houses. It passed and got written into law or signed into law. So it's like Disney kind of did too little too late. And unfortunately, it's going to be pretty hard to reverse it other than through the courts, which I don't know if Disney really has a good way to instigate that. I guess they could file suit, but it's kind of outside their wheelhouse. But what I'm more interested in is the talk of federalism because, they do operate in Florida, but so they should have a little bit of voice in it, and they should have probably spoke up sooner. But, if they're at a California-based company, they should definitely look to see some of these other types of bills like the opposite of what this is that promotes for K through 3 being brought into these discussions with those people of California. So I think they just did it a little too much, too little, too late.
Lilac Doll? You're muted.
Muted.
I hate those pro streamer moments too.
Still muted. It's not on Discord. I don't know how you're muted, but it's not on Discord. Oh, she's gone.
She's rejoining.
Oh, okay. All right.
Can I
Well,
go?
in the meantime, Woodsman will.
All right, so Disney can do whatever they want. They're a private company, all right? But I don't think they should get the Ready Creek Improvement Act stuff. They're basically an autonomous zone that doesn't answer to the Florida government, but now they want to be involved in the government, so maybe they should lose their own fire department and police force and electricity and all those other things that they have that they don't pay taxes for. So I don't know.
We'll move
I don't
backwards.
think the don't say. I mean,
Sorry, go
K
ahead.
through three. We it's just a weird age to want to teach people about sex and stuff. I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with gay. It's just I don't want what is 3rd grade, like a 9-year-old, 8-year-old. I don't really want them learning that. So I'd rather them wait until they're in middle school and they're actually having sex first.
We'll move backwards
Figure it
to
out.
Lilac Doll.
All right, so I was thinking about the original question of this for the panel and about Disney's response, because I've already discussed the bill. Like, the bill is vague, it is broad, the way it's written is like it applies to heterosexuality, it applies to everybody, but it's not going to be enforced that way. And so if you have two parents in a story, if they happen to be male and female or men and women, then you're just going to have people that are like, that's fine, but you change the gender of one of them and suddenly that's inappropriate for people under 3rd grade. But really, when we go back to, is Disney doing too much? I just don't think that this is like progressivism going too far. Whenever Disney supported the bill, their employees walked out, and now they're responding to it. Like, I just think that if we want to say that companies are people in the eyes of like the First Amendment and free speech, then sure, like Disney under the current law can do this. And if we want to have something against all corporations engaging in the democratic process, then that's fine. But if it's only brought out whenever it's a progressive cause, it doesn't seem genuine at all. I don't think that it's going to be effective. I mean, they funded it, it's passed. What are they going to do? And also in terms of like doing everything they can to help repeal the law, it doesn't seem like they're actively doing much aside from just making a statement. And that's not really that far outside of what companies do all the time.
Mad Lad, your opening statement?
So, Wisman's Will just suggested that there should be legal ramifications for Disney using their First Amendment right to disparage a bill, which is kind of hilarious. Like, oh, they shouldn't have their special police. Like, these are legally set up, like, things, right? Like, Florida gave Disney its own autonomous zone or whatnot, and to change policy, like, legally, like, because Disney is now arguing against the policy of your state, is like kind of using your government infrastructure to abuse someone for using their First Amendment right, which is like kind of shitty and against the law. So like for someone who I would think would care about the First Amendment and valuing it and not wanting the government to punish people for using their First Amendment rights, I'm surprised that you actually have that stance, and I'm surprised that Ron DeSantis has that stance as well. And then for CTV, I don't know why applying a prophylactic is a kid's topic for gay and transgenderism is not. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about that. So basically, like, for me, again,
because only your mom and dad get to decide if you're transgender.
Opening statements. Opening statements. Opening statements.
But going to the progressivism of this, actually, that's like my focus too, based on this question. Like, Chick-fil-A is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, but they lobby in Boston, Massachusetts. You've got Hobby Lobby that actually went far and beyond what Disney's doing here. They actually did legally push to have certain health insurance things removed, and allowed the state of Indiana to pass a bill that doesn't allow for abortion care, et cetera, et cetera. And like my point here is that regardless of whether it's left wing or right wing, there are companies that are headquartered in one space that will have a desire to have influence in another state's like legal structure because they do business in that other state. And that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely valid. This isn't progressivism. This is just like doing business in this country that is 50 states. So like, I don't know why we give a shit about it.
All right, Preacher, your opening statement?
Yeah, man. So I spent my stream Friday going over this bill head to toe. And, you know, the whole part about teaching anything gender identity or sexuality, there's one very small block about that, and it is vague. It doesn't say only transgender, only homosexuality, or it's any sexuality, including heterosexuality. The rest of the bill, the entire rest of the bill, and this is where I get pissed off at the left-leaning media that don't say gay bill, it doesn't even mention the word gay in there. The entire bill, except for that one section, is about parents' rights. The parents' rights to be involved in the decisions going on with their child's education, their child's health care, their child's psychological well-being. Everything is about that in the bill. Then there's that one small part. Now, as far as Disney's concerned, they have the First Amendment right to say whatever they want to say. Me, personally, they're just virtue signaling, because you're right. There's nothing they can do right now. They just hear, and this is the crazy thing, is they have this small section of people that are rah, 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 that they're going to appease to and piss off the entire rest of their base. Because Disney's already been doing what they should have been doing. If you look at Bambi, if you look at any of the stories they have put out, it's all about inclusion with the skunk in Bambi and with the seven dwarves and everything. Disney's already been doing inclusion the right way and the children's way. There's no reason why kindergarten through 3rd grade or ages 5 through 8 need to know anything about sexuality. The kids are just done eating dirt. Let them learn how to tie their shoes, do their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. And let the parents have the right to decide what they will and will not be taught, and what goes on with their health care, what goes on with their psychological care. If there's an issue with my child, talk to me about it. Don't sit there and ask the one case is a 13-year-old child, do you give us the right to not involve your parents in these decisions? That's wrong. And you're right, it wasn't in the original Florida
Damn, that one was fucking tasty.
But it was being taught in schools. That's why the need for this bill came along, because parents found out that teachers were skirting around the original legislation and teaching it, and then their parents found out that's why this new legislation had to come on and add on to, listen, this is a bunch of horse crap, this is what we're going to do. But it's like everybody said, it's been voted on by the legislatures who were voted in by the people, so it is what it is.
Pastel Dallas, your opening statement. Let's try to make them a little bit shorter. We've had a couple people go over the time.
Excuse me, I take offense to that, by the way.
You should.
Okay, thank you.
I'll keep it really simple. This bill is really stupid. I mean, like, I'm talking sub-room temperature IQ. Whoever wrote this, unironically, needs to be, like, voted out of office. Because whoever writes such a vague and unenforceable bill should not be a politician. This is, like, I can't believe that there are people seriously here, like, even trying to remotely defend this bill. This bill is garbage. And like, let's actually get down to the brass tacks here. I don't know if anyone actually like looked at the proposed amendments, because I don't think anyone actually cares. But like, we can look at when Republican Senator Jeffrey Bandes tried to add an amendment that would specifically call out human sexuality and human sexual activity for banning here, it was shot down. We can look at whenever someone tried to propose like, all right, how about we just say like this is okay for gay and trans people? That was shut down. Oh, and for anyone saying this is only for K through 3, I'm sorry, you didn't actually read the bill. So whoever said that, like, yeah, I'm talking to you, you didn't actually read the bill. Because this specifically says, very specifically says, hold on, let me go find the wording real quick. The text of the bill outright bans these discussions in K through 3, but the bans of these discussions of topics are not age appropriate, in quotes, for in accordance to state standards. Well, we're in Florida. What are Florida state standards? Florida has no state standards. That's why these are so vague. So this basically opens it up for literally any parent in Florida, if they deem something not age appropriate from any grade, K through 12, they can sue a school. This is the most like stupid, unenforceable bill that exists. Like, this is actually garbage. Yeah,
all right, we're gonna close your. Okay, so Biggs, your opening statement. Try to keep it short.
So as far as the actual question goes about Disney, I think that they can do what they want as a private company. I also think that if Florida wants to take their, due process and revoke those privileges that Disney has, I think that's also perfectly reasonable. As far as like what Disney's been doing, I think if you would ask the parents of families in Florida after what's come out recently with not only the sexual criminal charges against sex against minors, things like that, along with the president saying they want to have by 2023 over 50% of the characters queer in some way. I think that most parents are going to probably not be too keen on that idea in general, and you're going to see an even harsher pushback, more, heavily swayed legislation put into effect. So I don't think this is a battle that Disney's going to win. I know they're this massive corporation or whatever. As far as the bill goes, I think it is kind of a like you said, I get sometimes that, come on, just give me a little bit of time. I think that we've seen many worse bills. I don't think this is a great bill either. But if the state laws already say that they can't teach this to those grades, this really wasn't necessary. I think it would have been better if they would just have kept the parental rights sections how they have them. I think those are fine. I think having parents involved in school is what we need, not less. And then they could have just dropped the whole orientation thing, since it's really not even necessary.
Okay.
And we all know about the parents.
Wait. Last but not least, we have one more to even out the 5v4. So, Pisco 95 You are invited to the conversation, to the debate. Your opening statement on the Florida Adult bill with Disney.
Pastel and Lilac are absolutely right, and Preacher, I didn't hear all the other conservative speakers, are absolutely wrong. The key word of the day is vague, and I think purposely vague. The law was designed to chill constitutionally protected speech. That was its purpose. That's why they don't define key terms like classroom instruction on X subject. It's so that, you can be, that this bill was passed in order to curtail some aspect of LGBTQ something. And so teachers are going to play it safe, and school districts are going to play it safe and not rock the boat, otherwise be sued by parents and have fee shifting provisions which award damages, injunctions, and all that stuff. And that's precisely to chill speech and even legitimate speech. And no one knows how broad and expansive it is supposed to cover. Does it include, you showing a picture of your gay partner? Does it include just referencing any gay person in a book? The words classroom instruction and on X subject aren't defined for a reason. And everyone should put to bed this lame argument about the third grade gatekeeping rule. That obviously is not a thing that matters when the bill very ambiguously extends beyond to all grades with just reference to another undefined standard, which is quote unquote state standards. And so everyone can see through this. Everyone knows the intent of the law is to curtail this speech. And anyone sort of pretending otherwise is just being a liar.
All right, and with that being said, the floor is open for debate.
So I'm glad we have legal scholars now. So Pisco, what are your thoughts on the NFA Act and specifically the Second Amendment? Because there's a lot of really vague language that's being used in those typical laws that
Sorry, my head is spinning. Are you asking me my constitutional take on some law that we're not brought here to discuss?
No, it's an example that references towards the vagueness.
That's not the topic either.
Bill.
We're talking about Disney.
Laws, so vagueness, there are a lot of problems constitutional law statute.
This is going to be fun.
Vagueness is particularly a problem when you're talking about the First Amendment and what's known as overbreadth doctrine. The reason why we have a due process problem with vague laws, especially in the domain of First Amendment speech, is because we don't want to wait to litigate in court or wait for some agency interpretation or implementing regulation in order to find out what is the constitutional line in any given case. And so we're very concerned with prior restraints on speech that are vague, precisely because this country has a deep and fundamental connection to First Amendment principles. And so in this particular case, there's a due process concern that's larger than vague laws as applied in the EPA that are going to be implemented by some regulation, but that the EPA sort of promulgates. That's not the same issue here. And also there are equal protection concerns because we know that there was specific animus towards gay people as shown by the I think, who was it? Someone, Pastel mentioned the statements made by a lot of the legislatures that show an animus that's, potentially unconstitutional. And of course, the First Amendment concerns. The First Amendment doesn't turn off when you enter the classroom. That is black letter constitutional law. And
so
I thought the topic was Disney, right?
Well, no,
Disney's involvement.
That's an easy question.
We're going to litigate this entire law because Pisco's here? Because I don't want to hear him talk that long.
Law, and now you're just upset when people actually
no, Pisco just talks forever, and anytime we bring up law, it's just like fucking my brain fucking hurts.
What's your Second Amendment comparison?
It's your brain wrinkling.
It's a similar vein question, but you framed your response the way I expected. So what I'm expecting to see from Disney is that they're going to sponsor some of these court cases that are going to actually push some of the agendas the items that you just listed, and I really hope that Disney funds all of that fight in order to do proper justice in the state of Florida.
Funding is not going to be a problem. There's I don't know if you know right now, there's a litigation going on right now with a ton of plaintiffs. There's going to be plenty of money to fund this litigation.
Not the left-hated lobbying. You guys, I thought you guys didn't like corporate lobbying.
There's another thing about this whole constitutional argument. It's like, it's not a two-way street. Like, the Constitution is the standard that we compare laws to. So saying, well, the Constitution is vague, it's like, yeah, because that is the overarching framework document.
And it's a law.
Do you like corporate lobbying?
It's a constitution. A constitution is supposed to be a framework. It's not a statutory code. And so
you like corporate lobbying? You like corporate lobbying?
Quiet. All right, I am gonna hand it to Biggs because Biggs hasn't talked at all. So Biggs, you have the floor, but before you take the floor, I do want to state that I do want to remind everyone in this panel that you do have the opportunity to call a cage match. This is the panel on which cage match was invented, so of course you have the opportunity to call a cage match here. And so I just want to remind you of that. But Biggs, go ahead.
All right, so my biggest issue with this whole thing,
I
agree
dude.
with Pisco.
The law
and
fucking
a lot
sucks.
Of the other people on here,
Disney
that
was
bill
late
is
to the
probably
party. Disney was
written
way
as
late to the
garbage,
party.
okay?
But corporations
Hold on,
shouldn't
not
have that
garbage.
control
Sub
over our
IQ.
government.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
some temperature IQ.
Right. But my question is to everybody on here, honestly,
Can't all these
do you
things
think
be
if
true?
you polled all the parents in Florida with children 3rd grade or below, do you think that they would want somebody to talk about these subjects with their children in school?
Who
It's
responds
like
That's
to
what
that?
they want. They need
saying-
to make a law
If
that's
you-
narrowly tailored to that purpose.
There you go. I mean, that's one.
Right,
is that
and I
if you-
agree. But I'm saying, if you, but
no,
democracy.
you don't fucking agree, Biggs. You don't fucking agree. You need to sit back and listen to what the fuck is being said. You don't actually agree. And you don't actually agree because...
I don't give a fuck what you say, CTV. Why are you jumping in? Cage match with CTV. CTV. What is your view on this bill, please? Stop. Cage match.
You're right. You're saying some dumb shit. I know you don't fucking agree.
What do you even you didn't even know what I'm saying.
Because the point is not default. We get to talk about this issue. The point is parents don't want the issue talked about.
Exactly.
That's why the language is vague. So that it
Cage match between CTV and Biggs.
Things that the parents don't
Beautiful.
fucking want.
I will start muting.
Constitution is a limitation on democracy.
We're gonna have a cage match, and it's gonna be CTV versus Biggs. I will start muting if people continue to talk over me. I will start muting. But CTV versus Biggs. You guys have the floor for 5 minutes.
I just want to know what CTV's take on this is.
You don't de
I wanna
facto
know.
agree with them because you yourself and everything you said that you don't think that these issues should be probably being talked about, and you don't think that parents would be agreeable to it, right? So the vagueness of the language is there for the purpose of no matter what you think, whatever needle you're going to be able to thread around to be able to talk about this issue like they did before. Now the law is structured to where don't fucking bring up your heterosexual, your homosexual, or any of your sexual relationships as an adult into the fucking classroom environment. That's why you don't agree with it, bro.
You're right. Like I said, I don't agree with them wanting to do those things in the classroom. All I was saying is that I agree with them that I think they could have done better with the bill. Now, I agree with you. They should have been. I know.
That's not what they think you were agreeing to, though.
Yes,
that's
we
Pretty
do.
sure that's exactly what we were talking about.
No.
The
you were
reason
talking
why I
about
called the
default
cage match,
state of it
though,
being that they want to be able to talk about the issue. That's the default state that they want. That's what they are advocating for. And the default stance for the parents is it's not going to be talked about.
right? And like I said, I think if
Otherwise,
everybody
you
on
get
this
the defense
panel
writer and you might
is
as well stick the
honestly,
defense post up your ass.
I think honestly, like I said, we all know here that the majority of the parents would not want these things discussed with their children at these ages. Now, I agree that these things can be talked about with parental consent later on when it's more appropriate, like 5th, 6th grade, whatever. But I think it's ridiculous that anybody can push for this type of things when, like, why would you think that teachers would have qualifications to discuss these type of things? I understand in passing and agree. That's why I agree with the bill is bad, because I think if you have something that's like legitimate to talk about, like in a history class, or let's say you're talking about something like was brought up in a panel I was on last night, was they brought up, like, let's say you're talking about Harvey Milk. Like, can we talk about his thing? He was the first, homosexual man to run for mayor, blah, blah, blah. Like, are those things legitimate to talk about in class? I believe they are, right?
Except
If
for
it's
not,
circumstantial, but not to be a
homosexuality doesn't
curriculum.
matter unless you're a
I
fucking
know.
adult.
It does matter if it's the part of the
sexual-
history.
I don't give a
it's a
fuck
part
if
of
somebody
history.
sucks dick, licks fucking hooch. I don't give two flies of a fuck, and neither does any kid that's sitting in this fucking classroom that somebody was the first homosexual fucking whatever. Nobody actually gives a fuck. The fact that you think that I should give a fuck lets me know how fucking crazy your ass is. Because I don't give a fuck whether you suck dick or whatever, and I damn sure don't want the teachers thinking that it's okay for them to be talking about their weekend fucking
Dude,
adventures
he is
in the
so
classroom.
threatened by
I
gay
don't
people.
give two flies of a fuck.
He is so
Period.
fucking threatened by gay
And that
people.
right there
It's
is
so
why I know you
fucking
don't
weird,
agree,
dude.
Biggs, because
He has
if
like
you
a
did,
serious fucking
then
like
you'd have to
problem with
change
gay
your whole
people.
stance about the state should be able to tell the parents how they raise
The fact
kids.
that you can't
That's the whole
like
fucking point.
Ideally, in my perfect world, everybody should be able to send their kid to the school that they want with the curriculum they want. If the lefties want to send their kids to schools where they talk about this shit all they want, I'm all for that, and I'll send my kids where I want to have my kids taught, which is focusing on the basics and shit. But anyways, I think we're talking about in circles here.
Between private and
I love
public
you,
education,
CTV.
though,
Thank you,
since
sir.
we're talking about public education right here, it's
Yeah,
obvious
I
that
know.
the public doesn't fucking want this
I
issue to
agree.
be talked about. Otherwise, the bill wouldn't have fucking passed.
Exactly,
So the
exactly.
lefties out there, if you've got kids, feel free to go send them to whatever fucking school you want. But the public education system is not going to have this particular fucking topic be fucking talked about, especially here in the state of fucking Florida.
Well, yeah, because the smart lefties moved out of a
Nope.
shithole like Florida.
I think I'm good. Thank you, CTV, for a very productive cage match, my friend.
All right, you guys will both be muted for 3 minutes following the cage match. Everyone else, the floor is yours. Let me.
So
Here's my question. How many schools teach about historical figures and their wives? Like, Martha Washington. You're pretty sure that's George Washington's wife, or, George Washington had a wife. That's a heterosexual relationship. You don't have any problem with kids learning about that. But if somebody happened to have a husband and a husband or a wife and a wife, that is under fire under this law. So it is discriminatory. It's not about teaching kids about how to do all sorts of crazy things. It's just meant to prevent people from mentioning the existence of anyone who falls outside of the already pre-established and accepted heteronormative things that we allow in public schools today. We allow those little weird fake weddings for kids where they can pretend to be grooms and brides. We allow them to do Valentine's Day. It's not about, I just don't want to have information about sexual relationships, because for some reason people seem to think that it's only a sexual relationship whenever it's same sex, but whenever it's a man and a woman, suddenly it falls outside this category where you're able to understand that those people are not actively fucking when you see them. But whenever two people stand next to each other that are the same gender, you honestly don't understand where the line is between seeing people that are just existing as partners and people who are actively engaging in something inappropriate. And this law doesn't distinguish between the two, but it's only going to be used in one case, and that's the problem.
Kindergarten through third grade do not learn about George Washington and Martha Washington.
You're
Kindergarten
lying,
through third grade.
dude,
No,
stop.
I am not lying. Absolutely
Yes,
not.
you
And I'll
are.
tell you right now, kindergarten through 12th grade, I did not know whether my teachers were gay or straight. I did not know their political leaning. I did not know anything extracurricular except for the friggin' lessons they were teaching me. And guess what? I grew up and I know how to respect everybody without
Preacher,
them actually.
you're
what?
misrepresenting the broadness of this statute.
No, you guys are misrepresenting this bill.
Have you read the bill? Have you
Yeah,
read
have you
the
read the
law?
bill? Can you-
Then surely you would understand. First of all, you keep going to third grade. How many times do we need to
Then
beat
age
it in your
appropriate
head?
after that.
That is another reference to an ambiguous standard that no one knows about.
It's literally never
we can
defined.
introduce more
It
stuff
applies
to
to
them.
all
Once
grades.
they learn to cut the shoes, maybe then we can talk about other stuff.
Preacher, go ahead.
As
Well,
they
here
get,
it
it's age appropriate simply means that as they get older, we can introduce more to them.
But no
up
one knows
until
what that
thir-
means.
Okay, why
Preacher,
did they
no one
shoot
knows
that
what
down
that
as an
means.
amendment, though?
Why
Literally, they
why
tried to
people
amend
want
that and they
these
shot it
sexual
down.
shit to kids that are 5 to 8 years old?
That's a
Why?
great-
He's
and
trying
it's,
to
it's
do
not
that.
a problem.
It's
That's
like
the point.
having a
you guys
bill
are
against
fighting for.
fires.
It's not
That's
a
what you're
problem.
fighting for.
You're what you just said is evidence that we don't need the bill. If there's not a big problem in Florida, surely we don't need the bill. And furthermore,
Obviously
you saying,
there's a problem.
well,
That's why they had to
it's so
read it.
clear
Write
what
it.
age appropriate means. It's so clear. It just means as you go up, you get to teach more stuff, but no one knows what that means. What does that mean? Like, really, try to apply it. And the answer is the only way you're going to find out is through litigation or through some kind of implementing
I
regulation.
thought we let
that
the
could
parents
differ-
decide.
No, but the thing is,
Oh my God,
the
we let the parents
Constitution.
decide? Holy
the
shit, what are we
Constitution-
thinking here?
Nothing to do with that.
Are
Constitution
parents
is a
now walking
limit on
into
democracy.
fucking schools and
wait.
writing the curriculum? They have the time for that? Jesus Christ. I would love to be a parent that has the time to go sit down and write my fucking
Write the
my
curriculum. It's
daughter's
about-
fucking
no,
curriculum
it's
and be like,
Wait.
I'm gonna have this
It's
and
about
I'm not gonna
them
have that.
rewriting the
It's not a
curriculum.
fucking
It's
sushi
about
menu.
the
It's not a
You guys
fucking
can say-
sushi
I
menu.
want to cage match with
With the
Preacher.
fake faith bullshit.
I
Get
call
out of
cage
here
match
with that.
Preacher.
You want one with Preacher?
But before
Okay,
the-
Pisco and
can I
Preacher,
do-
you guys
can
have
I
a
say
cage
something
match.
before?
Okay, Preacher
Yes,
has...
you can say something before. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I ran a highly scientific study with my third grade daughter, and I asked her if she knew who Martha Washington was. She said no, and then she made the inference that it was George Washington's wife. And I think that kind of, and I can talk about it after the cage match, but I think that kind of goes towards why this age range is a really critical thing to talk about.
All right, so with that being said, the only two people that are allowed to talk are Pisco and Preacher, and go.
Yeah, so Preacher's constant refrain, and everyone's really refrain that this is just for third grade. And they say, well, everything else is as appropriate by age. If that term by itself is also vague and it doesn't reference anything of substance, especially as applied to something as broad potentially as sexual orientation and gender identity. Who the hell knows what that means, really? And so it's not much of a gate threshold if it's not a reference to something substantial or some substantial limiting principle. And also the statement that like, well, my third I know this that you're not in the cage match, but my third grader doesn't know who Martha Washington is. Take any female character in a literary novel. Take Mrs. Claus. Are you allowed to teach your class who Mrs. Claus is? I mean, there's an implicit heterosexual relationship there. So why wouldn't that be prevented by the plain meaning of the statute? So these are memes, right? They put in. I actually differ from Pastel, who says it's a low IQ law. I think it's a very devious law. It's intentionally vague so as to discriminate and so as to chill speech for potentially protected stuff that could be protected by the law's own terms.
In the classroom, it says in the classroom, it literally says right here.
It's classroom instruction. What does classroom instruction mean? Does that mean literally physically in a classroom? Does it apply outside if you're doing a class underneath a tree? Is that what classroom instruction means?
Let's not get silly like that.
You tell me.
When the teacher's teaching the class.
When the teacher is teaching the class, if a teacher is implicitly, telling the class about my husband had a funny joke the other day, is that teaching the class?
Why does the teacher need to talk about her husband's funny joke or his husband's funny joke? Why does the teacher need to bring that in?
You don't get to dodge the hypo. I'm asking you a hypo whether that would be teaching, classroom teaching. By the way, it says classroom instruction, not classroom teaching. And you haven't really clarified much by saying, well, classroom instruction is classroom teaching. Wow, that's like super clarifying as a standard. Like, no. Like,
what do you want me to do? Write it out for you? I mean, I got a pen and pad here. I can write it out for you.
If a teacher is supervising a classroom discussion and implicitly guiding that discussion among classroom sort of
okay, let's go with the word teacher. Let's go with the word teacher. They are there.
It's not just teacher; it's third party.
They are there to teach a subject. They're there to teach a subject. If you're there to teach math, teach math. If you're there to teach science, teach science. Actually, these are K through third, so you don't even have that stuff going on. Teach
Stop saying that.
What the fuck are they talking about? You learn math, science, English, fucking reading, every fucking subject from one fucking teacher in elementary school.
Can I speak?
What the fuck school is he going to? Where does he send his kids?
Can I speak a little bit?
What the fuck is he talking about?
K through third.
He has an elementary school with
after third grade.
They have a different teacher for each subject. That's some bougie ass shit.
Right. So if you have a child, do you not know what age you want your child to start learning things?
Is that vague? Is that ambiguous? Is age appropriate vague and ambiguous to you?
It's up to the parents to decide.
Well, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not up to the parents. Who says it? Where in the law does it say it's up to the parents?
The thing that is called the Parents' Rights in Education bill.
This is the other dumb thing you said, which was like the rest of the bill in terms of volume of text. Also, like, was talking about parental rights, as though that is like an important reference when we're talking about a law. Suppose that there was a big like Appropriations Act, and one line was like, "You can murder whoever you want." You'd be like, "Oh, well,
Jesus, why don't you go to the extreme?"
Bill on the whole is good because only a small amount of
ridiculous stuff.
Only a small amount of text is to the stuff I don't like, and therefore the whole bill must
what
be good.
It is you guys are picking up on one
standard I've ever heard in my life.
Don't say gay bill when the entire rest of the bill is about a parent's right to choose their child's health care.
Cares? Right. So like some of the most important laws.
Who cares if a parent can decide what's going on with their kid's health care?
Some of the most important laws are.
The government will decide what your health will be.
Some of the most important laws in our country are one sentence. The murder laws are like murder is a felony in the first degree. That's it.
No
right? So
shit.
You can't judge the importance of a statute or what the statute means in an overall slip law based on the number of words.
Is a felony? Was that stuck in with everything else?
Bro, like it doesn't matter. Like,
did it stand alone, or
doesn't matter if
it does matter because you're taking one part of an entire bill and picking that apart like it's this holy God sacrifice compared to the whole rest of it that is about a parent.
Didn't you do that with the individual
mandate? Wait, didn't you do it with the individual mandate in the Affordable Care Act?
Everyone was the end of the cage match. I really do appreciate you guys. You guys be muted for 3 minutes following the cage match. That way everyone else gets a chance to speak, and the floor is now open to everybody else.
I got Lilac. Look,
okay.
Lilac.
Yeah.
You had something that you said earlier that I thought was very interesting. You were wondering, right, if anybody ever talks about, right, the females that are associated with the presidents or etc. Right? I'm going to be honest with you.
Women that come out, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, there's a lot of great women in history, right? They don't end up being, something of note because they were the president's wife. They end up being something of note, say like Clara Barton, right, who kind of started the, oh goodness, that association that she did. The Red Cross, right? She started the Red Cross back during the Civil War, made a lot of changes and innovations when it comes to medical care for soldiers, and that's why she ends up being remembered, right? Very, very good thing. But when they do something, of note, sucking the president's dick.
So what I'm saying...
Hold on. Sucking the president's dick really isn't notable, right? Unless, of course, it's the secretary and then the president lied under oath. Then
what's the relevance of that to this conversation?
Well, at that point, that's when a woman in the president's life becomes something of note, right? It's not just the normal day-to-days that they become something of note of. That's the point.
The first lady actually has
you gotta be the secretary and suck a dick and get the president to lie about it. That's what you gotta do.
Was Melania Trump someone of note?
Here's my question about this actual bill. So we want to go back to, well, a lot of it's about parents' privacy. Here's how that relates to Don't Say Gay. The bill says that they are required to adopt procedures for notifying a student's parent if there's
What's
a change
the name
in
of the bill?
services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being.
What bill is this?
A change of service. The bill that we're talking about, the Don't Say Gay bill.
That's not the name of the bill. What's the name of the bill?
Listen. The bill.
No, what's the name of the bill?
It's the anti-groomer bill.
About the bill that we were just discussing.
No, you're just pushing propaganda right now. Say the name of the bill, and then you're good.
I'm reading the text of the bill, and this is why it's related to Don't Say Gay. This is why it's related.
That's not the name of the bill. I'm going to keep interrupting you on that.
That is a change that is so broad that if they so much as change the student's lunch number, they'll have to report that. Now, they're not going to report every single change for every single student because there's not a policy or a procedure already in place to do that efficiently or in a streamlined way. It's also going to fall on teachers that do not have the support to do that. So when is this going to be used? When is this going to be used? It's only going to be used whenever a student comes out as gay or trans or bi or asexual. That's the only time because it's going to be applied unevenly. It covers such a broad range that it literally is impossible to effectively enforce the law.
Right?
So it's not just in high school, Like in kindergarten, there's going to be kids who show up with 2 dads or 2 moms, and then a teacher's going to have to report, oh yeah, your child was exposed to gay culture, etc., right?
That wasn't exposed during standard classroom instruction.
No, standard classroom instruction is vague. In contract,
no, it's not.
No, it's actually extremely vague. When there is a bill or a contract
that is not of a fucking classroom, is it?
Shut up, CCB. I'm not done talking.
And once again, we go back to the parents' right.
Page match, motherfucker. Let's go. Page match. You think you can say the fucking
contract,
bitch?
Let's go. CTV.
The point is
in legal contracts, CTV. In legal contracts.
Let's go.
It's not happening in the classroom. Classroom instruction is.
This is the blood sport you have come for.
It being in the classroom is not what we're talking about. That's the fucking problem. You just want to keep sitting there and spouting your fucking shit and the propaganda that comes from your side because all you want to do, is sex and the view of fucking children. That's the fucking problem. That's the fucking problem. All you want to do. Sex kids, and then next thing you know, you want to fucking redefine the classroom environment when the classroom environment is only the classroom environment and not the fucking parking lot that you're referencing right now. It's a disingenuous fucking...
Yo, these are the same people that are worried about Dylan Burns.
CTV, can you define, is there a legal definition for classroom instruction in this bill?
Yeah, classroom. I don't think the parking lot, and I don't think anybody would even got a reason say anything is going to think that the classroom is the fucking parking lot, and that's where the difference comes in, right? So you can sit there and yell about it all you fucking want, but the fact of the matter is that the classroom is inside the fucking building, it's not in the fucking parking lot. That's the fucking problem. All you want to do is just keep putting sexuality on kids, and ain't nobody hearing that bullshit, and I ain't hearing that bullshit.
Like a piece of shit.
You think...
You are literally strawmanning. There's nothing to do with this
to redefine the classroom environment, and then all of a sudden,
the bill doesn't define it. You need to define classroom instruction is for people to know how the bill applies.
Ain't nobody giving a fuck about that, bro. I ain't giving a fuck about it. Ain't nobody giving a fuck about it. And people down here in Florida ain't giving a fuck about it.
People decide to do it.
Sexualizing
no,
kids.
It's ridiculous. Nobody's going to sexualize kids at all.
Hey, what's up, Disco?
How you doing? With protecting the right of people who are undermined by the heteronormative
standing right here
culture that we have.
Fucking kids and not sitting here
fucking crazy. We're just going to talk each other the whole fucking time.
That's the fucking point.
You're just making shit up, dude. You're literally making shit up. You have to have a legal definition for the terms in the bill. Have you ever signed a fucking contract?
Classroom to
there are
include
pages
the
and pages of definitions for all the other parts of the goddamn contract. And because there's no legal definitions of this in this fucking bill, there's going to be some fucking problems. You actually have to have real definitions for these terms so that we know how the bill's going to be applied. The reason why it's vague is because there is no actual understanding of what's going on. It's vague because they don't define it. It's actually vague because they don't define it. You have to define what classroom instruction is. That's the whole point.
You think the fucking classroom is just malleable and can be fucking anywhere?
Is that culture is valuable?
You realize you're
You're just talking so much shit. All you're trying to do is profit everyone. You're trying to pretend that's about protecting kids when all this is about is trying to attack gay culture. It's about attacking the minorities in this country. No, you are such a fucking idiot. And you are used to debating fucking idiots. But I'll have you know, CTV, you're not cage matching with a fucking idiot. You are misdirecting your fucking deal with all sorts of
random fucking sites of
you have to define the terms in a bill.
At the school.
You have to.
That's the whole
you actually have to define the goddamn. You have to define the actual terms in a bill. You can't fuck about with this.
You have the actual terms of mail.
Class, no. The bill. The bill. Open up your fucking ears, you stupid fuck. Open up your fucking ears. I said define the terms in the bill. And if you're defining the terms in the bill, the whole point is that classroom instruction.
If you only got this excited about sex, for real.
Are you trying to sexualize me while we talk about this shit? Is that what we're doing? You have to define the terms of what classroom instruction means in this fucking bill. If you don't, it's vague.
You don't have to fucking define it in order for it to be.
Yes, you do. Because vague terms can be abused. That's why you define legally. That's the whole fucking point, TTV. The whole fucking point, TTV, is you actually have to define this shit.
Now, the classroom could change, but
you literally have me foaming at the mouth right now because you're being such a disingenuous, bad-faith piece of shit right now.
Trying to teach teenagers
how to fucking drive. You're actually being a huge piece of shit right now.
Right? Where they're having a classroom environment out in the parking lot.
You actually have to define these terms because legal system will abuse these terms if they're not clearly defined. That's the whole fucking point.
Yada yada yada. But
no,
that's
you
not
have
even
to define this shit. And it's not about making sure that kids know what this is. The equivalent of having this bill signed is the equivalent of like having a bill. Hey, we don't want to brand children. Let's make a bill about it.
That's exactly the
We're not doing it anyway.
Teachers giving in these kinds of situations.
You're literally making up reasons to have this bill. In reality, the whole point of this bill is to subvert
answering the fucking
question
when it comes to those things, and since they're
this is ridiculous. Are we just gonna talk about
they need to be the ones that are the adults.
The CTV just shut the fuck up and listen.
I'm
you
not
have
going
to
to have
define
this
the specific terms
in my head. What I'm going
you
to do
are literally
for the
not having any conversation in your head.
Have this
There's nothing up
with
here.
Your parents.
You're
That's
so
exactly
full
what
of
the
shit. You're just trying to push propaganda.
There's no other place to have this conversation.
You're so fucking full of shit.
The whole point to me.
No, exactly. You're just making shit up. The whole point of this bill is to undermine anything that's heteronormative.
And there we go. That is the end of the cage match. All right, but we do have another cage match right after this. Pastel Dallas. No, it's gonna have to come after the next cage match. Pastel Dallas challenged Preacher to a cage match. So Preacher and Pastel Dallas, you guys are good.
So Preacher, I just have like one question.
I'm sensitive.
So you were talking about how the volume of this bill is talking about parents' rights, but I just have like a really simple question, a very simple hypothetical for you. Let's say we have a bill, it's a bunch of non-legally binding resolutions, and at the very end of the bill, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you can just murder people now. Which line or which parts do you think would be the most important? All the non-legally binding resolutions, or the legally binding part at the bottom that's like, oh yeah, murder is legal?
Well, obviously, in that hypothetical, which is nowhere near close to comparison of this. Obviously, we would focus on the one that says murder is legal. However, we don't focus on the line we're talking about in the actual bill in reality, because it's one small line talking about gender, sexuality, not transgender, not homosexuality, but sexuality. And it comes down to this. The parents have the right to know. Okay, so let's say
this bill is super fucking dangerous for
little
people
Billy
that
comes
have
to
fucking
school, and
for kids
he's
who are
got
being
two dads.
abused at home, because it
And little
requires
Susie wants to know,
the
teacher, why does he
fucking
have two
school
dads?
to tell the parents
Go
about
and you have to discuss this with
the
your parents.
fucking
What's so
fact
hard about
that
say discuss
there's
this with your
emotional
parents?
distress.
Allowing the parents to
This
have
is
the
gonna
right
put kids
to
in
reach these
danger. This is
conversations with
fucking
their children.
dangerous shit,
Parents
man.
do have that ability. I'm not homosexual, but I'm pretty sure if my children were young and came and asked me, I could sit down and have that conversation with them so that they know there's absolutely nothing abnormal about it. There's no reason to treat anybody any different. It's just their way of life. It's different from your way of life, but you know what? It's all good. It's not hard to allow parents, and that's what the bill talks about, parents being involved in their child's health care in school, decisions going on with their health care, decisions going on with their IEPs, the individual education plans, and stuff like that. That's what most of the bill is about, their psychological issues. There's one small part that says, and CTV brought up a very good point. Do we not tell children you can't drive until you're 16? Well, most states 16. Because that's age appropriate. We know when things are age appropriate for children. So obviously, there's no reason why any of this stuff should be breached with children ages 5 to 8. After that...
So I just have another question then.
Mm-hmm.
So like whenever we're writing bills, specifically about like legally binding stuff, about like what teachers should teach, don't you think we should be like, I don't know, a bit like precise in what we're talking about specifically? Because like wait, hold on, no, I have another question. Do you have like any like training or reading or any background in actual like legalese or how law works?
I mean, I've broke the law, if that's what you're asking.
Well, no, like actual like constitutional understanding or like legally binding or anything like that.
I mean, I have a little bit of understanding. I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Then I'm going to ask you another question. You understand, as the bill is written now, if any parent, K through 12, deems something not age appropriate, they can sue a teacher, right?
They can attempt to
any
sue.
parent.
They can attempt to sue, yes, but it would still have to go in front of the courts, and they would actually have to win the suit. Nobody's saying they're guaranteed a victory in a lawsuit. No lawsuit is ever guaranteed. It's going to come up to the decision of the courts, and if the parent has a case, they'll win. If they don't, they'll lose, and guess what? They just spent a shit ton of money on a bunch of attorneys to lose a lawsuit.
Okay, but here's the issue. How do you determine who would win or lose this hypothetical case if, like, age appropriate is never defined?
I'm sure the school systems have age appropriate.
School systems don't matter. We're talking about a bill.
We're talking about a bill that has to do with the education system.
Sure, but the bill literally, like, we can't look at a bill and then look at, like, other things to determine age appropriateness if it's not in this bill, which is what we need.
And also, you do understand that this bill coincides with the rest of the legislation for the Department of Education in Florida, right? It's not a standalone bill.
Yeah, sure, but we're talking about a definition in this one bill. We need to look at the definition that isn't provided in this one bill.
Okay, so do you think it's age appropriate to talk sexual anything with children of ages 5 to 8?
No. But that's not in the bill.
About?
And then, well,
that is K through 3 is ages 5 through 8.
My issue here is, first off, this isn't just K through 3, this is K through 12, because this bill is very vague. Secondly, whenever someone literally tried to, like, add this as a amendment, who was it? I think Democratic Senator Chevron Jones tried to literally add that as an amendment. The Republicans shot it down. So then I ask you, why did they do that in Florida?
Wait, tried to add what?
He tried to add, like, discussions intended to change a student's sexual orientation or gender identity should not be allowed. Like, to actually clarify the law here, to, like, actually target the things like you're talking about. And then the Republicans shot it down. So why would they do that?
Because
and, like, this Democrat reached across the aisle and it's like, hey guys, let's clarify this bill so this isn't like a literal, like, negative IQ bill, and the Republicans shot it down.
I'm sure that's a great question, and the rest of the panel will get the chance to speak to it. But we have no more cage matches lined up, and so the floor is back open to everybody because the people who previously did the cage match for this one, their mute time ran out during that cage match. So everyone else has the floor.
I just had to go upstairs and let my children know that I was defending their futures loudly. They were wondering why I was
Not in
screaming.
Florida though, right? Not in Florida.
I mean, not in Florida. But
Yeah, okay, so
if it
good.
happens in Florida, it can happen anywhere else.
So, Florida Statute 1033.46 2D actually already addresses the issue that teachers who address human sexuality must provide instruction and material that is appropriate for the grade and age of the student. So, if that law already existed, what purpose does this bill serve?
I guess they shouldn't have passed it at all. then, you know?
Elections. Well, why would you pass a redundant law?
I don't know. I guess they just wanted to do it, just to have extra
Optics?
laws on the books that
Well,
do
no,
not.
there's a reason for it, and
government.
everyone
Or is
who's
it to
It's
promote
optics and
heteronormative
alienation.
culture?
It's optics and
wait.
alienation. That's exactly what it is. It's optics for their fucking. It's red meat for their political base, and they get to alienate the LGBTQ community at the same time.
You realize that's kind of how like politics works too, right?
What do you mean that's how
That
politics
doesn't make it
works?
okay.
That's.
It happens in all different
You
ranges
don't
of the
play with the
politics
First
spectrum.
Amendment. and
Do you
don't play with the
understand why
protection
that's a
clause.
Well, apparently
problem?
they do play the First Amendment.
That's
They wanna make
fundamentally
Disney
a
have to leave
problem
the state
with
too.
our
Oh, there you go. I
politics.
mean, but like, don't you guys care about, you know?
Wait, why would Disney need to leave the state, Madman?
The right wing never actually gives a fuck about.
Why would
constitutional
why would
amendments
Disney
unless
why
it
would Disney need to
undermines
leave the
left.
state?
That's what we're
Why would
getting.
Disney why would
presumably
Disney need to leave the state, Mad
They're
Lad?
trying
Why would
to
Disney?
You literally in your opening statement said.
Do they have that? Do they
you
have
literally
those?
said- I'm sorry. You literally said in your opening statement that you wanted to remove all the benefits that Disney has in Florida as a result of them using the First Amendment rights.
You wanna
Yeah, do you
cancel
think
them.
that do you think a corporation should have more benefits than the everyday person? Like not paying
Absolutely
taxes
not.
and shit?
But it shouldn't be done in a
Exercising the First
vindictive
Amendment
manner.
Well, then if you're saying
They shouldn't have had it to begin
Do
with.
you like corporate? So every I want to
If
hear every
corporations
leftist admit
didn't-
that they
if
like corporate
corporations didn't have
lobbyism.
fucking control in the first place, we wouldn't have these stupid fucking laws anyways.
Okay. So CTV was the first person I heard talking, and everyone jumped on top of him. CTV, go.
Okay, so the fact of the matter is, Mad Lad, is the corporations should not have the amount of say that an individual has, and I frankly don't give two flies of a fuck what Disney thinks.
So
is a
the
company.
Supreme Court decided
Neither
this.
should, and neither should you, right? If
The
you,
Supreme
if you,
Court-
if you actually are for your leftist fucking values, and
actually give a shit about our
Jesus
institutional
Christ.
recourse.
You know what? You want to know why I end up having to fucking keep yelling? Is because I'm trying to finish an idea, and then you're
You just yell for show. You yell because you're the alpha fucking wolf, and I don't give a shit.
I'm
Go
trying
ahead.
to fucking get my fucking point across, you insignificant little
Well,
fuck.
I'm sorry, I had to correct you because you're incorrect.
Insignificant
I apologize.
fuck.
I am
who
so insignificant.
Just keep interrupting, and then here's your fucking.
If I was so insignificant, you just talk over me. It's fine.
You're
Keep going.
right. I'm just gonna mute your ass for the rest of the fucking panel. It's that fucking easy for me, you significant little
Do it.
fuck. So the
Violate
point
my
here
First
is,
Amendment rights,
is that
CCP.
Disney is not a first and they're
Every
fucking.
time CCTV yells, I just turn him down 10% more.
You have no
let's let
First Amendment rights
okay,
here,
let,
Mad
okay, let
Lad.
CTV get his thought out, and then we can discuss it after that. He's been interrupted enough.
If I get interrupted one more time, I'm just going to leave the panel. So if you all think that that's what needs to happen, go ahead and interrupt me right now. Please do. Please interrupt me right now.
Hey,
so I
CTV.
won't leave. There
Hey,
we go.
CTV,
Bye.
CTV.
Have a good one.
No.
All right, well there goes CTV.
Wow,
All right.
undermined by the
Look,
right wing.
Look, no, I don't care, dude. If you're gonna talk, you talk
do
more than
that?
everybody fucking here. Him and Pisco and you, Mad Lad. Like, there's like 8 other fucking people on here.
Cage match.
To be fair,
I
they
don't
only
know.
did what we all wanted to do. Okay, let's not throw hate on them.
But
Listen, corporate identity, that's a matter of state law as well. And the Florida legislature passed a law that allows associations of people to incorporate. You can't, like, therefore, I don't know, use the corporate identity of Disney against it and be like, you should be treated poorly. You were the ones who enacted, you know, I don't know, actually know if Florida's incorporated or if Disney's incorporated in Florida, but, you know, what would be the basis for treating Disney more poorly for expressing a view? I mean, you would never want that for like Chick-fil-A for the government to like be able
So
to.
why
on the
did they
basis of
cancel
your
the
view.
Keystone Pipeline? Like there was a bunch of companies and
That's
people that were doing
different,
work
right?
on
So
that.
that's different. So one is, suppose that you fired someone for a reason related to policy or jobs. That's different than like firing someone based whether or not they're Republican or Democrat. And in this country, I thought that we had a more appreciation for the rights of associations and individuals to express their views. And you wouldn't want like the Obama administration or some Democrat governor to put a thumb on Chick-fil-A or put a thumb on Hobby Lobby, why would you be okay with that rank partisanship?
Didn't the IRS do that?
Just like we would not like the federal government to put the thumb down on a natural resource pipeline that could get us out of this
political
resource
policy
thing.
decision. That's not that doesn't implicate the First Amendment, of course.
No. So just the same way that I wouldn't want the national government to put a squash on this natural resource hub, I would also like for us to not have to put our thumb down on Walt Disney World for doing what they're doing.
There's no individual right for a corporation to have a pipeline. There is an individual right for people and associations to speak.
Yeah, and the locality of Florida has the right to terminate laws and contracts that are not beneficial for the state of Florida.
Actually, there's a contracts clause in the.
It depends on how that
Constitution,
law.
by the way, so be careful. States just don't have the ability to unilaterally, renounce their contracts.
And I understand that, and that's why I was prefacing.
I'm gonna ask a question real quick. So we are about out of time for this topic. We can either continue with this topic and scratch the last topic, or we can go to the last topic.
What's the last topic?
Everybody agrees that weed should be legal, so I don't know.
Okay, to all the panelists who think they know the last topic, I changed it. So yeah.
Oh,
what is the last topic?
Yeah, what's the last topic?
Would be Elon Musk owning 9.2% share of Twitter.
I like this.
That's kind of based.
So it's up to you guys. Do we want to stay on this bill, or do we want to go to Elon Musk?
I don't care about
Elon Musk. Fuck Elon Musk. Let's talk about the bill.
Stay on this bill. Keep going. Sorry.
No, so going back to what I was saying, it's like I would hate for a government entity to institute its will towards a political reason, right? Because that's not why we do these bills. These bills are needed.
That is why. Politics is why. That's a policy choice. But we have a separate
should be okay
category
with squashing down on Walt Disney's special status here in Florida.
There's a separate category of things that we call rights in this country, right? So you have authority by your government, and that extends as far in the case of states, usually generally police power.
So let's close the scope down. Let's talk specifically Florida and Disney here.
Right. So to punish Disney for speaking out against this bill, why wouldn't, doesn't that strike to your heart of aren't you scared of governments doing that kind of retributive action?
Yes.
Against anyone who speaks out against a law?
Yes.
I thought you guys cared about rights, and I thought you cared about freedom of association. And
You're not hearing me. I'm agreeing with you.
Well, they obviously don't.
I don't want the federal. I don't want the federal government, and I don't want the local government cracking down on corporations because I don't disagree with you on a lot of the things you said, Pisco. A corporation has the right to actually go out and lobby and try and get their own things to make their business work well. And when a government tries to squash that just because they have a pissing contest, that's a bad thing. And it applies also on the federal scale as well. The pipeline should keep being built because it is a natural thing.
But the pipeline,
it's a policy position that it was got canceled
is running through
the
other
corporation
people's
doesn't have
land.
a right. Well, it's not even going to the merits. There's no right to a pipeline, right? People have a right.
It's a benefit for the nation to have another natural resource or access to more natural resources.
That's a political.
It's not even access for us. It's going to the Gulf of Mexico. What the fuck are you talking about?
So it's just going to go dumped into the Gulf of Mexico, dude. Come on.
Yeah, but
it goes to refineries on the coast. Come on.
Let's talk about what CTV was actually going to say before he left.
I got a hard out. I got to go.
Bye, Woodsman Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
Hey, thanks for having me on this panel when you said you never would. I'll see you guys later. All right, bye.
Later.
Bye.
He made CTV leave, so it's only fair, right? All right, keep going.
What CTV was talking about, though, was this natural problem that most leftists would have with corporations being treated like citizens. And I agree 1,000% that corporations shouldn't be citizens. However, the institutions of our country, the Supreme Court specifically, has ruled that this corporation, any corporation in this country, is a person and thus has the First Amendment right. And so, okay, Pisco's.
Well, they're not coextensive with individuals, but corporate personhood is a concept that extends to some extent, and it doesn't extend elsewhere. So, for instance, a corporation does, the Supreme Court, this isn't even Citizens United, this is, back some ways, has decided that associations of individuals, including corporations and unions, importantly, right, have First Amendment rights, and your ability to get together with groups of citizens is integral to the First Amendment, and that could take the form of a unincorporated association, or it could be a corporation. But
I have a quick question.
The Citizens United was saying that political donations count
about that's individual
right?
expenditures. Yeah. So, basically, the notion that corporations are coextensive with individuals isn't quite exactly true. But it is important. I think everyone, and even the conservatives included here, we don't want to limit our robust First Amendment to only literal people, right? I mean,
that's what I was going to ask. Is anyone here actually against Disney actually having an influence here, in the way they did?
I mean, they should be able to speak out and say something.
They have so much power. I don't like the position they're in, but from a legal standpoint, we should never undo. If anyone has issue with the current legal standing of Disney, that needs to be addressed through appropriate legal channels and not through retaliation for them exercising a constitutional right. But yeah, it's I don't like Disney, but legally, I don't know that they're doing anything that is directly.
And I think to use your voice as a company, if you want to do that, and you want your company's voice and your reputation to cater towards a certain image that you feel obviously is beneficial to you based on either moral or financial means, you're going to do that. And that's what companies do. Until laws change, around something like Citizens United, where we can get real influence out of politics, we're going to have stuff like this. And even after, we're going to have stuff like this because they're going to use their voice. I mean, they're a massive corporation. They have an interest in all this shit. It'd be stupid to think they wouldn't.
And just to reinforce what y'all are saying, I completely agree that Disney has the right to voice their concern with the bill. I wish they would have done it a little earlier in the process so that it would have actually been changed or possibly been changed. But I really hope that they lean full into all these legal and court cases that are going on, and they put their full weight and soul into backing these these court cases in order to get their agenda and their voices heard a little bit better. And I really hope that people are listening to them putting their weight into this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's right on the money, Turk. And I just want to indulge the panel with a comparison and analogy. I think that all of us have a problem with direct theological teaching of religious doctrine to children as something they should believe. Correct? You guys would all have a problem with that happening, right, preacher? Would you have a problem with direct?
I am actually a minister, and I would have a problem with a teacher doing that. Yes, because again, parent.
First Amendment, right?
Public servant.
Well, I just believe, I believe that's something the parents should be teaching.
Okay, so if there were a law, right? So we agree that there's a subset of things that we do not want in terms of religious teaching to be taught, but we would be okay with you teaching. Well, what's the difference between a Catholic and a Protestant if you're teaching Martin Luther, right? Or if you're, as a matter of historical, whatever, or if you're teaching oh, this is Hanukkah, and Hanukkah, they do this. You would be okay with that kind of religious teaching. I think that most of us would be, if it's incidental, if it's not direct imposing of that religion. And so I want you to consider a law that said something like this: there shall be no classroom instruction on religion. You would have a problem with that law, not because you don't think that there's some circle or nugget of thing that shouldn't be taught to kids. Just we don't want kids to learn about anal sex, but you would have a problem with that law because it's super vague, because you don't know if that means, I can't wear my cross to school, if that means I can't incidentally talk about religion as it comes up in historical topics, or if it's a biblical allusion in some classical text or some Shakespeare. That's the problem with this law, is that even if we can agree that there's some subset of sexual content we don't want to teach to children, the law doesn't pinpoint it. And by being vague, you're capturing potentially other protected speech or other permissive uses of sexual orientation or gender.
And that's why these activists on either of the hypotheticals that we're asking here need to continue doing what they think is right, and they need to get hammered down, and the court cases need to happen in order to get that clarity and force the clarity through the process.
Or whenever an amendment is proposed, you could actually just accept the amendment instead of shooting them all down.
Well, then you should move to Florida and you should go and lobby for that amendment to be passed. This happened in Florida.
Well, if I move to Florida, I'm going to be
partaking
in actual local municipal meetings and stuff.
Then you should. Then you should move to Florida and enact local change on the local level.
Is it possible that teachers already did what Pastel just said, and that's why this stuff is enacted? Is it possible that
they didn't
these people
do it good
are
enough?
No, I'm saying that these people are representing their constituents when they're making these decisions, and their constituents were the parents showing up at the meetings and finding out, listen, my kid's been learning this, and I don't want this being taught to my child in such and such a grade.
Do you really think that's happening?
Show me where it's happening. Show me where the fuck it's happened.
I can reference all these amendments.
Where
They
it's
tried to
systemic.
clarify this bill legally, and they just shot them all
Virginia,
down.
the same thing happened.
Well, no, but
People
let's
went
talk
to
about
their
Florida.
local Okay.
So you can find, for instance, and just for a second, outside of Florida, I know there are examples like New York where like someone showed a video of like a dinosaur explaining what a penis and a clitoris is. But like, really take a moment. In Florida, like, what has there been this epidemic of indoctrination into like neo-Marxist gender theory, queer, thoughts?
I do believe there was I believe there was an instance, I forget the name of the person, but they were actually trying to get additional information from the school, and the school refused to provide them the information about their child, and what the child actually had to provide the approval
That's on
for
the
them to
parental
share.
rights aspect, right? So on the parental rights aspect, I mean, we can
Which
have
is part of
policy
this entire bill and why it was brought.
Yeah,
you
but
asked
do you
for an
think-
example, and I gave you the example.
Do you think
brought
that
and
some
put
of
this
this
as a
bill?
highlight.
Do you think that some of this bill, in giving those parents the right to, like, their child's psychological and emotional states, might be providing abusive parents with access to children's records who are trying to?
I mean, there's a carve out.
Is there?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
But like the parental rights aspect to that, I think it's very unlikely that's going to get struck down. Because I think that I agree with you guys that local schools have a lot of discretion. And states have a lot of discretion to do what they think is in the public interest and the health interest of their children. And so I don't really think that is going to be struck down. You can disagree. I think Lilac Doll said in a tweet like that whether or not this parental right should be as expansive as the law currently has it. And I think there's policy disagreements there. But for a moment, like, don't take the preacher route of focusing on all the text in the bill, but like the heavily disputed parts of the bill, the don't say gay aspect of the bill. That's what we're discussing. And my question
Well, it doesn't say don't say gay. Where does it say don't say gay?
How that's the effect of what the bill says. Because if they're
it's an apt name.
If they're reporting on changes in the student's mental, emotional,
Like
and
say,
physical
don't say
well-being,
garden.
hold on, don't cut me off. I'm trying to explain to you something. I'm trying to explain to you because you're
You've
saying
already
something.
explained
and
it, though.
Well, but here, let me try it again because maybe I'll use better words this time. So what they say is something that is so broad that no teacher could report on changes for every student when they're teaching hundreds of students per day. So if a student comes out like with the bill and the political climate that is being submitted under, and the specific intentions that legislators have said outright that their intentions are with this bill, it is only going to be applied to students that have changes in their sexuality. If they say that they are gay, their parents will be reported, and that could have very, very real consequences for those students.
I would also like to point out, people talking about this bill being for parental rights is like insane, because the push in Florida is actually like, yes, I've read the bill, probably more than you have. So before you even like come out with that, like, calm down. Secondly, if we were okay, well,
how many days do parents have to wait before they file litigation against the school district?
3.
I believe it was.
I'm not gonna search it. I'm not even gonna claim I have good memory. But I just want to talk
3.
about how like
30.
This bill, like pushing this bill, literally in Florida, was using the fucking like grooming
The bill is
buzzwords
passed, guys.
at every meeting.
It's only 7 pages.
Let Pastel speak. She hasn't talked for a minute.
At every like meeting for this bill, it was never talking about parental rights. This was never like framed as parental rights. Like we're trying to like frame it right now. No, there was the grooming buzzword being thrown around the entire time. Like, let's not mask this. There's no reason to Pepe post about this. We all know what was actually happening. So like before we even like try to like, oh, this bill is mostly for parent rights. It isn't. Because if it was, that's not how it would be shown at these meetings. That's not how these lawmakers would be framing it. Like, if you want to actually see the minutes of the fucking, like,
which lawmakers are positioning this as the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida?
The Republican Party, Governor DeSantis.
Yeah, literally, yeah, Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis is literally
they're
like
not calling it.
buzzword.
The Democrats are the ones labeling it that way, and
activists
are the ones labeling that way.
That's called misinformation anywhere else.
That is
Would you
counter
call
to Pastel's
Obamacare
point.
misinformation? Would you call Good.
We're not talking about Obamacare. We're talking about a bill called the Parental Rights in Education. But everybody, nobody knows the name of it.
You can call it whatever you want.
The friggin' title of it.
No, you can't.
Call the
HB 1557. HB 1557. There you go.
Is it the Affordable Care Act or is it Obamacare? I mean, come on, who gives a fuck?
I brought this up because Pastel is framing this as the people that passed this bill had.
I cannot hear anyone, so I'm going to hand it to Lilac Doll, who looks like she was trying to speak.
There's a quote from Governor DeSantis. She says, "If you're against the anti-grooming bill, you are
just
probably a groomer." Okay,
DeSantis.
so
true.
Sorry, this quote is from Christine Pushaw. There we go. Christine Pushaw said, if you're against the anti-grooming bill, you are probably a groomer, or at least you don't denounce the grooming of 4 to 8-year-old children. That's the people, like you were like saying, who's been saying this?
When was that said?
Oh my god, they didn't use the bill's actual name. Oh my goodness.
So I will send
oh my god, Governor DeSantis, why?
That was March 4th, 2022. And that was a tweet.
That was before it was signed. And listen, you have a bunch of these statements. If you read like the operative complaint right now, there's a bunch of these statements. And the point isn't like this bill we know is not officially titled the Don't Say Gay bill. They're not going to title it something that's essentially a propaganda term. And I don't use propaganda here as like, oh my god, it's malicious. I think the Don't Say Gay bill name is apt.
Then you can
exactly what it's doing is chilling speech, because if you're a teacher, if you're a school district, you don't want to. School districts are the ones who can get sued, but they can impose their will to the teachers by their own policies. So
you openly condemn the framing Pastel is using in their statements, saying that whenever this bill was being processed, it was not being referenced as a parental rights thing, and it was this other thing. Because that's flat out false.
I think that they have been using the terms of parental rights as a shield in this bill, but it's not the only one. And Pastel is correct that they have been packaging this bill as anti-grooming. And if you don't agree with this, you're a groomer or a pedophile, or like you want to teach anal sex and blowjobs to little kids, which is not at all the case. The point of this law, as everyone acknowledges, is to chill speech around sexual orientation and gender, and specifically towards sexual minorities, LGBTQ individuals, because as Lilac said, no one thinks this law.
Thank you for the follows. Appreciate it. Was been Will
heterosexual or
and
heteronormative discourse. No one thinks that, and the only thing it's going to apply to, people think, are going to.
When you go into court, do you argue on feelings or do you argue on facts?
Actually, in equal protection cases, you can use extemporaneous statements made at the time of the passing law to make your case.
But the fact of this bill does not say anything about LGBTQ. That it says sexuality, including heterosexual.
Okay, if there was a law, do you understand that a lot of racist laws are facially neutral?
Oh my gosh.
Do you understand that? So there's a big doctrine. Really, go look at
what the actual law that's written.
Go look at equal protection doctrine right now.
No, I'm looking at the law that's written in front of us.
So
yeah, but are you aware of court precedent and how that works?
What's that?
So there's a bunch of Supreme Court cases, what Lilac is saying, where courts have to deal with facially neutral laws, because what clever states would do to get around the Equal Protection Clause's mandate is to not write their laws as explicitly race unneutral. They find some other way to package in their racism. If there's a case in North Carolina with a racist gerrymander that was, I think, some years ago, and where it wasn't facially biased, but other statements made at the time of the passing and the purpose of and effects of the law were tailored in such a way to result in a racial discriminatory outcome and a purpose. And that's enough to make out your claim. They're hard claims to make, for sure, but this is precisely the kind of evidence you'd bring to bear. And the effect of the bill is obviously to chill speech related to sexual minorities, not heterosexual.
And even back then, when they did that, they were appointing activist judges that would oftentimes side with them. So even then, when it got challenged in court, they'd be butting up against a brick wall. So
let me ask you this. Let's say a child that has two moms or two dads comes home and says their teacher was talking to them about their male teacher was talking about his female wife. Now those parents are pissed and under this can sue the school district.
I hope they do.
Do you think they're going to meet any kind of resistance that a heterosexual family wouldn't meet?
Do you think that challenge would be successful?
Yes.
If Disney backs it up,
do you think that's good? Do you think that's a good thing? That if some teacher brings up their wife, a heterosexual couple brings up their wife in some anecdote, that the school district should be sued for damages?
Listen, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If one family gets sued because this teacher talked about his homosexual relationship, then this family should be able to sue if this one talks about the heterosexual.
So then that's perfect. Exactly why this law sucks.
Yes,
right? Exactly. Exactly why this law sucks.
It's to stop both suits. It's not to allow this litigation.
It's any kind of sexuality conversation in the classroom. Focus on how to tie shoes.
That's ridiculous.
Do ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. That's
you
not
should be.
ridiculous.
Do you not try to build rapport with your students? Do you not try to build rapport with the people you work with? Do you not have generalized conversation with people? Like, do you not think there's value in? Do you not think there's value in anecdotes?
I cannot hear. All right, Jason, re-ask your question. Then preacher can respond to it. Then we're gonna go over to Turk. That's the order we're gonna go in.
Okay, so you're a preacher, so you should get this more than anybody. Anecdotes are a big part of how you teach people. Sometimes personal anecdotes help to teach a story. Like, whether or not they're talking about their husband or wife or whatever, unless they're directly talking about the sex they're having in the fucking bedroom, what fucking difference does it make? Like, if they say my partner and me went out to the fucking barbecue place and saw a guy that was homeless and really needed some food, and you know what? We just went and bought him a meal. And, you know, if you ever are in a situation like that and you're able to, it would probably be a good thing to do that, you know? Are you going to fucking be mad at them because they brought up their partner in that story?
What if they bring up their daughter? What if they bring up their daughter?
Wait, no, preacher's going to respond, then we're going to Turk.
My question would be, is you're teaching ABCs and 1, 2, 3s to 5 to 8-year-olds. Why are you talking about you and your partner feeding homeless people? I mean, that's a great thing. I'm glad you did that. That's wonderful. But you can talk to your coworkers in the faculty lounge about that. Why are you talking to 5 to 8-year-olds when you're teaching them ABCs, 1, 2, 3s?
You have to teach them how to be good citizens too. That's a part of your job as a teacher. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
part of what teachers are for. That's part of social education. That's what they are literally required to do by their teaching contract.
I think there's a bit of a disconnect in this conversation.
Teach the math. Fuck teaching them how to act like normal citizens in the world, you know?
Teacher, you'll probably have her as a teacher in the 3rd grade. So no, I violated this law.
So multiple things. I think that this entire instance of that type of couple, sorry, I have kids that are trying to get to sleep, gets in trouble just the exact same way this other couple gets in trouble. That is the entire reason why this bill is here. This sort of conversation. Stop.
Why?
Let me speak, please. This is the entire reason this bill has been put in place and is in law, so that this kind of topic can be talked about with age-appropriate reasoning. Now, to go into some of the reasons why Jason's saying, oh, I went with my spouse, whatever, to go and feed people. You can just say, I went to go and feed people. I went and did all these good things. You can skip the entire topic of that thing without having to go into it. You can talk about George Washington without having.
They're gonna think their teacher lives a very fucking lonely life. Very lonely life.
You actually want to live it?
You get nobody else, just yourself, teacher. Like, is it normal? Is it socially normal for people to think their teachers don't interact with other humans? I'm just curious. Like,
I have a thing. Okay, so we're going.
Oh my god! Evidently, you guys were never 5 to 8-year-olds.
Why should the teachers talk about their spouses? But the First Amendment is the assumption is that everything is okay to be speech unless we narrowly define what isn't. So why are we trying to define why it's okay for teachers to talk about their spouses when by default it is? Like, if something doesn't need to be illegal, then don't make a law to punish it.
It doesn't make sense. You're talking about education. You're not talking about the public school. You're talking about the education of children. Okay, then rights apply for the parents too, and the parents made the decision that they want this.
I will have none of this. You cannot talk to my child about your significant other. What the fuck?
Preacher, absolutely true that First Amendment rights are lower in schools. Absolutely true, and significantly so, and for both teachers and public employees, and also for children. But think about this: by the letter of the law, the facial application of the law. If a teacher were to say, my daughter had a very interesting experience last night, wouldn't that violate the law?
That's not talking about sexuality.
Let's talk about gender. It references gender identity.
You're being obtuse, Pisco.
Wait. Why is that obtuse? You just said mentioning your wife. Well, is referencing your wife teaching sexual identity?
So you would go the entire extremist route of removing gender in all conversations and all contexts.
No, that's what you would do. You just told me that this law was so broad. Like, this is your maximalist approach to law. You're accusing us of saying the law. Wait. You can't at the first say that the law is very narrow. But your reading of the
you go teach all the sexual
the way Chuck would say it, Chuck would say by child, gender neutrally. Like what?
You started by saying that this law is very narrow, but now the law is so broad with respect to the sexual identity that you're saying any reference to your spouse with a sex would be covered by this law. That is a maximalist reading of this language.
No,
before you're saying it's very narrow.
Your specific example you're using here is my daughter. There's no sexual innuendo in that.
Sex doesn't have to be romantic sex. It doesn't have to be bumping up.
Jason, Pisco, we're gonna let Turk finish.
Nah, I'm done, man.
So the law says both sexual orientation and gender identity.
Then you know what? If that kind of conversation happens, I really hope that whoever's kid brings that to them at the dinner table, they decide to go to court on that in order to get the clarification in this law.
Why would you want that? Why would you want the world where there's so much ambiguity and where you're potentially stifling?
Because we need laws and order, and this has been passed as law, and it needs to be brought out into court and get clarity.
But that's not how you would want to draft your laws.
That's the reality, Pisco.
That's not how you want to
You're just clogging up the judicial system with that. You're fucking jamming up the judicial system with fucking bullshit.
That's how it is. We can pass shitty laws.
The people of Florida have voted on this. They have voted for the representatives, and this is the law.
And it's a shit law.
Yes or no?
Turk, if there was a law,
the entire topic today is about the Disney thing and how they're being more progressive and stuff. We need to get back on topic. I'm not going to talk anymore on this, man.
Turk, like CTV did, huh?
Turk, one last.
Nobody's running away.
I mean,
Turk, one last question. If there was a criminal law, that said it's a crime to be a bad person, would you be in favor of that law?
I'm not going to answer this question.
Why not?
Has nothing to do with the topic.
Man.
Well,
all right, let's move on.
The principle of that law the fact that you're unwilling to say should make you, in your little queasy in that law.
I didn't even listen to you, dude.
You didn't listen to what I just said?
No, I didn't.
That doesn't make you look better.
It doesn't. That's fine.
The reason I brought that up, in case you did listen to it, is ambiguity and the potential for arbitrary application of a law is a big danger, and that's a reason why you'd be uncomfortable with a law. It said, like, it's a crime to be a bad person. It's too broad. It's too ambiguous. It's too easy to apply this in an arbitrary fashion, and that's precisely what we're worried about with this law. We can go to Disney if you want.
I mean, it's fantastic to me. Like, it's crazy to me how the Constitution gets trampled on so readily by conservatives when it serves a specific cause. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous.
The Constitution, we're actually for
constitutional rights of parents. Free speech. We value free speech, except when you're talking about
we don't want
the scary gay people. Oh my god, they're so scary.
I'm so sorry. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the actual topic. Whether it's like progressivism and blah 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 blah. Chick-fil-A has lobbyists in fucking Boston, and they're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. Sort that shit out.
Oh, Chick-fil-A! Oh my gosh! Oh no, Chick-fil-A! We're talking about Disney.
Right,
the point is, Disney's in California, doing stuff in Florida. Yeah. Right. So Disney is headquartered in California and engaging in Florida laws. And I'm saying there's other organizations, other companies that are headquartered in a variety of fucking states that do business in other fucking states. And
let me put it this way,
are perfectly fine to lobby in wherever the fuck they do goddamn business.
Let me put it this way then. If you guys think, and I agree, there's a lot of political theater with the bills. It's also political theater with Disney. If it wasn't, they would have said something before Raven Simone did her little walkout, and these few voices shouted, and that's when Disney acted. Disney didn't give a crap. They didn't even think about it. You didn't hear from them until...
Was that on topic?
I don't think anyone who supports Disney here, like, as far as I'm aware.
Because the whole point is...
Back and read the question. That's how it's...
Can a business lobby in a state where they do have operations? Yes.
Yeah, well, hold on. I support Disney's First Amendment rights.
Is it progressivism? No. We do it all the time. Every fucking corporation does it. It's within normal fucking policy. The only reason this is getting even remotely controversial is because the bill is controversial. That's it.
Partisan hacks.
Just be
law.
consistent. Fuck it.
I don't think any of us
Consistency.
defended
I
it.
just want consistency,
I don't
and
think any of us
nobody has it.
defended Disney.
What's that?
I didn't defend Disney.
No, but why not though? I mean, you would defend the
I'm
pipeline
saying, listen,
example.
Listen,
you would
the
want
Disney has the
corporation to-
right. I'm not saying they don't have the right.
Okay, good. Well, then we're in agreement. Disney has the right to fucking do it. Question solved.
I said that in the beginning. In the beginning, I said Disney has the right. I feel that they are marching to the tune of the few loud-speaking people and not caring about the rest of their huge base, but they have the right to do that. I never once said Disney doesn't have the right. They have the right to do whatever the hell they want in that situation. I personally think that they are just as much grandstanding as the politicians are, though, because they didn't say anything until people said, hey, you gonna say something? All of a sudden, like, oh, by the way, we do care.
I mean, that's valid. Fuck Disney.
I mean,
fine.
Yeah, fuck Disney.
Yeah, true.
But like that's what happens when you have campaigns like that bring attention to how bad the law is, like by labeling it what it is, which is a don't say gay bill. That's why it picks up steam, and then people take interest and notice it and like, this is getting a lot of steam. We should have a public position on it. And so you saying that that's like a nefarious thing. That's just like how human beings like get information. Like if this never like made a splash anywhere, no, Disney's not gonna like speak out on something that no one talks about because no one cares about it.
I think the
you bring
truth
that up
is
as like a nothing thing to say.
I think the truth is that people should be more outraged that Disney didn't hop on this sooner, like some other people on the panel were saying. Like, what the fuck,
That is
man?
what I
Like,
said.
They like the fact that they had to be lobbied, like by their own employees and shit, to hop on board and actually do something. I think says a lot to the fucking what the natural inclinations of Disney is, which is they don't fucking give a fuck until people are screaming at the top of their lungs, which is a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that's true.
Economic
That's how
policy
businesses work.
operating as it was designed to. This is what it was supposed to be like, and this is the system operating as it was designed, and that's why it's a shitty system.
Well, come on. I mean, they have to. Some people in suits have to sit down in a room and pass a board resolution adopting this thing. Like that takes time. And
No,
people
it takes. I've seen
What do you?
businesses get things done like as fast
Well-
as they feel is prudent for their bottom line.
It's something really important.
She just nailed it.
Yeah,
Bottom
maybe.
line.
But
No,
like,
I
come
completely
on,
agree with that. As soon
they have
as
to
the
judge-
progressive wing and the people that spoke the loudest within Disney started kicking flick, that's when Disney was like, oh, we need to do it.
A responsible corporation cares not just about its shareholders, but about its employees and about its sources of revenue. And if it came a time
And
later,
they saw the amount of pushback they were getting from their own
and they acted
workers,
rationally. I don't think Disney's
and
like
they
some
did it too
benevolent.
late.
But they're
How
you
fast
shouldn't
did
expect.
corporations back out of Russia? How fast did they get out of that? Like that
No,
was pretty.
It took them quite a while.
Okay,
I mean,
first of all,
compared-
I'm just saying
first of all-
they
first of all,
always
there's
tout
export
themselves as
controls.
being a progressive organization in a lot of senses, you know, that way.
Guys,
And then the fact
the
that they dropped the
comparison is
ball
not
on this
helpful.
is fucking
So-
really bad for them.
Number one, there are legitimately like export controls on certain corporations and certain Russian products, which immediately took effect. And so, to the extent that you're talking about the export controls or doing business with them or any kind of like, I don't know, federal trade regulations,
Like
that
franchises
stuff was
shutting down.
okay. That kind of actions, yeah, they took like rather quickly, and it's been going on in the last couple weeks. I don't know do you guys know the timetable between when Disney heard about this and when they acted? Like, how do we know they acted?
I mean,
so?
it got through the entire Florida legislation. Like that's a long process.
It's almost like the
Then
people
maybe they
that
were
worked
waiting
in
for-
Florida Disney
Okay.
World weren't speaking up enough.
That's weird. Like you'd wait until a law is in its final form before you come out in favor or against it. I mean, that seems
It's almost
like,
like
a
they're
rational
trying to
thing do.
grandstand at the wrong time.
why
My
would you,
entire
like-
point of this
They
conversation?
helped fund it while it was in its infancy. That got passed,
Disney
and then they
funded-
spoke out of yes, the people,
how?
specific people, funded sponsors of the bill. Disney, specific high up people in Disney sent money to the bill's sponsors. It got passed. Then they spoke out against it.
Okay, but did Disney Corporation send it? If you just have a board member,
Well, they
saying
didn't write a
sit there-
check that says Disney, but if Disney's one of their stockholders sent money to them, I can get you
Well,
names. I can pull up articles. I can send them in chat. But if
Stockholder
they
here,
supported it-
stockholder there. I'm sure some stockholders
maybe
send
not
it elsewhere.
necessarily stockholder, but somebody in like a C-level executive at the very least.
Oh, okay, but
I
like,
think
yeah,
the
just
bottom
crazy
line
executives
is,
everywhere.
if it's something that is in your values and in your beliefs, then you're going to fight it from the beginning. But the fact of the matter is, Disney is a corporation, and there is no corporation, I don't care whether they're a left-leaning corporation or right-leaning, every corporation, their first thought is, where's our bottom line in this? And that's where their thoughts are going to be. And I think they didn't realize their bottom line was being affected until Raven Simone did her walkout with that whole show, and other voices.
I'm not pretending that they're like some benevolent people who like really care about you. I'm just saying, like, come on, like, it's not a wholly irrational thing to wait till a bill is passed, and I don't think that you can like say that anything that a Disney's executive does is tantamount to what the corporation does. I think that those are, maybe you could glean some, I don't know, culture from what the CEO is doing or what the board is doing, I guess. But I don't know.
It is irrational, though, because think about it. If I'm on the board and I feel like, listen, there's some murmuring going around about this "don't say gay" law, all right, and I think we should really talk about this.
What if they took the amendments?
I'm sorry. Like, have you not if you look at like corporate history in the last 10 years, it's always last minute. It's always last minute. Like, look at what happened to Activision Blizzard, right?
That's
like, they never
saying.
give a fucking shit about,
Right.
So like, it's fine. Like, Disney,
there's no difference. There's no difference between that and like the other ones.
I'm very happy to sell like Disney's corporate structure down the river. Like, I don't give a fuck about them. Like, clearly
maybe I'm a corporate shell, guys. I'm a corporate shell.
I don't know, like whatever. No, I mean, like, I just don't give a fuck about them. Like, if they're gonna fight the bill, that's great because the bill is shit.
You're not a corporate attorney, are you?
But that doesn't mean that like they're fucking fantastic either.
You represent some big corporations.
I'm not sure what you're defending.
You gotta plead the fifth here.
Like, are you defending how long it took them?
Conflicting interests.
Maybe I'm just providing some context, some colorable context for why corporations who are profit maximizing firms often might be slowed and like wait until a bill is adopted and wait till it's signed into law and wait to see how how the players are acting before it's a very risk adverse.
Right, and that's all I'm saying
but,
is that
how is that risk averse when the damage is done? Like the damage is done.
Risk averse.
I agree with that. It is risk averse.
Listen,
it's absolutely risk averse. It's just also like ethically shitty.
Yeah, I mean, they were not the leaders. They're not the. I think that Disney also has an aversion to like portraying a lot of gay people, right? I mean, they, with respect to like their deals, I don't know what,
especially in China.
Yeah, whatever that is. I know that like it was like a big deal in the latest Star Wars movie when they're like a gay kiss or something, and so it's a. My guess is it's like a chip on their shoulder.
One of their main characters getting pretty much removed and decolorized. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not here to speak to that, but I just know that they're very sensitive about their markets and all that stuff.
They're very sensitive about their profits.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Disney for acting like the corporation they are.
That's why Walt's daughter like fucking can't stand Disney.
Can we move on? I'm just trying to say, like,
corporations this for another 10 minutes.
If you're waiting for corporations to lead you out of like climate change or to like lead you out into like the good world, like you're gonna wait for the rest of your life.
No, I criticize the
That's why capitalism sucks.
Disney is doing what is in their best interest, and the way things are set up, doing what they've done is in their best interest. They're playing the game by the rules that have been set, and I don't like the game.
Yeah, change the game, and here talk to your congressperson and talk to Biden. I guess. Well, what is Biden going to do? He's going to like.
I mean, government start
I mean, at this point, we're going to have to start about like we're going to have to actually talk about why gerrymandering is like making it impossible to actually have
what is
political party that's functional because both political parties make it impossible for third parties to like actually.
But what does the third party issue have to do with the corporate issue? I mean, we still want corporations. Well,
I think
we're way
that
off topic here, huh?
I mean, yeah, we are. But like I would say, like both parties have a vested interest in making sure that the system and the status quo is like maintained because that's where they get their wealth.
Well, maybe the status quo is robust because it's been maintained for so long.
No, the status quo is probably just like obsolete, and we're seeing more and more of it. Like kind
of. Status quo has an incumbent advantage.
It does have an incumbent advantage. I would, to be clear, I'm just memeing. I would definitely get rid of like first past the post, get rid of the electoral college and all that stuff. And with respect to like partisan gerrymandering, I'd pass a federal law to try to make it so that it's not this like absurd partisan gerrymander. But like let's not pretend that like we should expect much from big conglomerate corporations. Like
but there's no basis to be them. Like I have low expectations and high
but like
standards.
it's like criticizing a tiger who eats a lamb.
Yeah, that's why we should turn over their ownership to their employees.
I like how you
let's just turn over. If we turned over their ownership to their employees, that would solve so much of the problems here. If we just turned over ownership to their employees, that would solve so much of the problems.
No, well, that would make a bunch of new problems, I think, if you're just saying you want to make
you would have a free market system, but then you would also have, like, it would be socialism with a free market, which would be interesting.
Market socialism, that would be awesome. All right. Let's go.
All right, so with us at this point, I think we're going to go to closing statements, and then I will have you guys shout yourselves out in closing statements. So make sure you do that in your closing statement. And we are going to go. We started with bottom right, with introductions. So we will start with Biggs for closing statements.
Yeah, I'm Biggs. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Biggs8500. I stream occasionally here and there. I mainly just make fun of my friends on Twitter. So, but yeah, I think that this whole thing, we got two people, two parties, kind of. One party's taking the absolute like worst possible case scenario, and like the other one's having way too much invested in like faith in this. I do think that the bill was very poorly written, as far as that goes, but I also don't want people talking to my kids about that. Ideally, I think everybody should have whatever they want for the kids' curriculum, and that's why we should have school choice. As far as Disney goes, I think the whole issue I have is they should never have had the special rights that they were granted to start with. I think that was the whole problem from the beginning. I also agree that we have precedent in Supreme Court that they have freedom of speech. So I guess that's something we don't want to tread on, because that's a very slippery slope to treading on individual freedom of speech as well. But I just don't think they should have been given those privileges to start with. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on, Zach. I appreciate it, and thank you to all the other panelists. You guys are all awesome. Have a great night, and good luck to everybody.
And Pastel.
Oh yeah, I'm Pastel Delos on Twitch. I talk about like a bunch of local politics. I talk about like actual bills going on in different states. I play some fighting games sometimes. I'm doing a Dark Souls 3 run that I'll probably continue after this. Yeah, that's all. If you want like actual decent like foreign policy, actually reading bills and stuff like that, you can come to my channel. I also do a lot of foreign policy stuff. That's what I plan to get my master's in. So I can talk about a bunch of international theory if you want to learn that. But yeah, that's all.
All right, Preacher.
Yep, Preacher570 here on Twitch. I do politics, I do variety streaming, and I actually do some video games, but I really suck at them. But I have fun.
Like you're really
but
sad
yeah, I just think Disney has the right to come out. I think they're just as bad as political grandstanding, but they do have that right, and I think they're answering to the minority, and they're gonna end up pissing off the majority. So, but that's their decision to make. They have that right, and I won't go into the bill anymore. I think I've already said enough about the bill. But the question was about Disney, and that's my stance on it. Disney. I long for the day where there's no more corporate lobbying in Washington D.C. Yeah, I'll smoke some more dope or something. I don't know.
Mad Lad.
Yeah, I'm MadLad_N on Twitch, MadLadN on Twitter. I do variety streaming, so I've been doing a lot of politics lately, looking to get back into chess. I do some other stuff too. I co-host, you might like this, with Lilac Doll, where we teach each other really cool topics. I also participate in weekly stand-up where we talk about workers' rights in game development. That's on Sundays. And we just released a YouTube video, me and Lilac did. I'm gonna provide the link in chat, discussing sex work and sex trafficking, and how a lot of studies, or at least this specific chain of studies, demonstrated that there's no actual connection between sex work and sex trafficking. It's not all inclusive, as Lilac will say momentarily. So thanks for having me on. It was kind of cool. I didn't actually expect Alpha Wolf to be so submissive today. I was actually kind of disappointed. I thought he was gonna show me what alpha wolfing was all about, and to see him run away with his tail between his legs.
Seeming more like a beta wolf,
yeah,
right?
I just, the yipping was just like, it was a shameful fight. I hope not to have to deal with that in the future.
Beta! Alright, Lilac Doll.
Hi, alright, my name's Lilac Doll. You can find me on twitch.tv/LilacDoll, spelt with a Y, Lylac doll. I make adult content, I make music, just had a new single come out on Spotify, so go listen to it and tell me that it's shit, please. Every stream counts. Yeah, you can find me on You Might Like This with Mad Latin, and that's about it. I also play music on Twitch. I do piano and singing, all that good stuff. Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for having me here. I think that this was one of the more interesting conversation panels that I've got to do so far, so I enjoyed myself.
Alright, the Turk.
Yeah, so going to this Disney thing, I think, going back to what I said, I think Disney has the right to put their voice out there, and I hope that the entire public doesn't forget their personal and public stance that they've taken on this particular instance, and how they are currently propagating certain types of cultural doctrine into their products going forward. I hope we're better than that as consumers here in the world, but as for me, I'll have to just keep my eyes here in Texas. But I stream science and tech here on Twitch and as well as YouTube. You can catch me on The Turk everywhere, and really glad Pisco got to go here. I actually like having intellectual conversations and stuff, and actually like learning and talking about things, and not just being like Mad Lad and just screaming top of my lungs for 5 minutes. Have some freaking self-control, dude.
Oh, I'm so sorry that CC.
This is closing statements. Shut the hell up, dude.
This is closing statements.
Oh,
So you're gonna have to wait
sorry,
till
sorry. I have no self-control, as he said, so I just have to keep.
All right. Yep. You keep doing it. All right. Jason Society.
Yeah, so as I said in the beginning, I think the bill is not only poorly written, but I think it's aimed at fucking, you know, hurting the LGBTQIA community. I think that Disney's intervention came way too fucking late, and they should have been at the forefront of this shit, really getting out in front of it if they wanted to make some change or have some preventative care in keeping this from going through, or being able to even shape the bill a little bit so as not to cause as much damage. And they didn't do that. So, you know, if they wanted to be responsible, I think this is just virtue signaling at this point. But at least they're doing something, I guess. But where can you find me? What am I all about? I do cannabis and politics, listen to music sometimes, and I'm at Jason_Society on Twitch, and Jason Society, all one word, on Twitter.
And last but not least, Pisco.
Thanks so much, Sproutacus. Thank you for the impromptu invite. I was just like very triggered by some of the conservatives on the panel, and I had to try to impose myself on the panel. I appreciate the indulgence of people letting me talk. My name's Pisco. I'm a law grad, barred mission pending. I'm waiting for my oath, and then I'll be defending multi-billion-dollar conglomerates and talking about how important it is to let them have free speech. Just kidding. And doing other work too, of course, important work defending indigent immigrants, all that stuff.
Roby, oh my god, how could I forget that shit?
It's obvious that this law was targeted specifically towards sexual minorities and people who the Florida legislature deems less valuable than heterosexual or cisgendered people. And that intuition is given to me by both the plain meaning of the statute, which is possibly unconstitutionally vague, and also the contemporaneous statements made by legislatures who passed it. And so for me, that's an open and shut case. You wouldn't want this kind of law as applied to something like religion, even if we can agree that there's a core of sexual content that should not be shown to children. The law should be tailored, as someone said, narrowly tailored to that sort of specific kind of thing. Or there should be some sort of implementing regulation very close in time to when this is passed, or some reference to some state standards, or at least some definitions to key statutory terms, as Mad Lad said. And so the absence of those things and the presence of the other indicia of discrimination leads me to think that this bill is horrible, and to hope for its striking down in litigation.
Okay, I am the Sproutacus, and this was the American Octagon. I am back. It's going to be every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to come catch it next week. But I really do appreciate all you guys for coming on, even it was impromptu, or even if you got surprised by it impromptu. I appreciate all you guys coming on debating. It was a great time, and I think that we had a really good panel, so I really appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah,
Zach.
thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Your name's Zach?
Yeah.